My name's Rich Hayden. I own Virtual Reality Racing Club. We're here at Goodwood Festival of Speed. I'm here with Purple Sector Performance, which is a race driver training, all levels, club championship, all the way up to Le Mans level. What we do is we help them out with race simulation and driver coaching, and we do that using our SimRace Pro simulators, which you see behind me. They're really high-level simulation, and we use virtual reality to make sure that the immersion for the driver is as best as it could be, and giving them the accuracy to be able to follow the right lines and be as accurate with their driving style as they can be. One of the things we use with that is the HTC Vive Pro headset with a real high resolution. It's fantastic for driver training. It's the only way to drive a racing simulator. The average speed improvement or time improvement for a pro driver going from screens to VR is minimum is 1 second a lap, and the average is anywhere between 1.5 and 2 seconds per lap.
Snetterton. Dornell bounces there. Dornell goes into the back of Harrison, doesn't get destroyed. And he throws the car in. Harrison wins. Palmer second. Dornell third. Got a car on the grass. Several cars off. Vistantillos gets tagged and he's out of the race. And off on the grass. Harrison takes the win. It's going to be Dornell's championship by my mathematics.
Hi everybody, a very good morning and a very warm welcome along to round 6 even better. The original and official mini challenge E-Series with Virtual Reality Racing Club. Richard John Neal commentating once again, and delighted to be joined by Gamer Muscle himself, Mr. James West. A very good morning, James. How are you, mate?
Hello, thank you. I'm doing great. Absolutely glorious sunny weather today, and looking forward to commentating on this race.
Yeah, and again, we've got a better picture for my co-commentator than we've got for me. I need to get mine updated. So apologies to viewers looking at mine. Look at James instead. It's probably the best thing to do. We are at CROFT, which is pretty much, I think, home circuit for the majority of drivers. I say majority, maybe just under half actually, but a lot of Yorkshiremen racing here, so they'll be very familiar with the track that we've got. As you can see from the graphic, 2.1 miles. It's a tricky track, one that I always love going to because it produces great racing, very good knowledgeable crowds in the real world, and it's a good track. And because of noise restrictions, which of course are a pain in the proverbials, it does give us the chance to have a later race start. It means we can walk the track in the morning, which is what many of us take the opportunity to do. But it's a fantastic facility, which in the real world is owned and managed by the BARC, the British Automobile Racing Club, who are the club that organise the British Touring Car Championship. Now, we do divert from the real world a little bit today in that the JCW Mini Challenge won't be racing at the CROFT round this year. It's going to be the Cooper Pro class. And there are several drivers, real world drivers, racing with us today who are looking to try and put budgets together for a guest appearance in the CROFT round. So it is still incredibly relevant, this event, and not just in terms of it being on the Cooper Pro calendar, but in terms of the championship points which are at stake in both of the two classes. As you can see, we've only got 3 more weekends to go, with CROFT today, further up north next week for Knock Hill, and as you'll know from the regulations, we don't have we're not changing weather conditions, but of course if you were going to have a wet round, that's the one that it would be, Knock Hill. But we're going to have a rare dry outing at Knock Hill next week, and then we wrap things up on the 11th at the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. So going back to Brands for our second round. A quick reminder of our race day timetable, effectively 2 halves. The first half, Quali 1 at noon, then we've got race 1 at 12:30 after we chat to our featured drivers and also the pole sitter. Race 2, again 20 minutes, but with the top 10 drivers reversed from the result of race number 1 to give us our grid for race 2. Then we get a little bit of a break. We're going to punch a video at you that we recorded an interview with Max Bird today, our featured driver, the driver of car number 44, who had his best result with us last weekend, you might remember. And then we do the whole thing again with qualifying 2 at 1:45, 2:15 sees another 20-minute race, race 3 of the day, and then the final race of the day at 2:45. So please stay with us all the way through. Even during the break, we've got something for you to watch with the Max Bird interview. And Max will be talking about the e-racing and also talking about the e-racing, of course. So here's what happened at Snetterton. We were running on the 300 circuit, and it was Dave the Machine Marshall who was on pole position, took race 1 and race 2. Had some stiff competition though. Jordan Brennan getting a maiden podium in race number 1. Rob Butler in 3rd. Tobin Lee, 3rd in the championship overall at the moment, was 2nd in race 2. And Jack Mack, the current runner-up in the championship, next up. Dave Marshall again fastest in qualifying 2 and made it a hat-trick in race 3. Was he going to be able to make it a clean sweep? Well, no, he wasn't, but he did make progress through the order in race 4. We saw another win and a 100% podium per meeting record for Ryan Elliott, who was quickest today in free practice. Here's how the standings are per class. Max Coates leading the real-world drivers at the moment from Josh Hislop and Josh Martin. Alex Toth-Jones, the MSL car, is in 4th from Isaac Smith. The Machine Marshal up ahead of the Silent Assassin, Jack MacIntyre second, Toby Lee third, Ryan Elliott in fourth place, and then Jordan Brennan currently in fifth position. The remainder of drivers showing here for you. Very, very fiercely competitive, and many of the drivers, of course, their aim is going to be to try and get into, obviously win the championship and the fabulous prizes that go with that. Remember, the prize fund in excess of £20,000 worth of materials and services available for those drivers, and everyone keen to try and get up into the prize winning positions. So I'm wittering on far too much. So let's take a look at our CROFT hot lap for you, and when we come back we'll have a chat with our co-commentator James West.
Hello guys, my name is Ryan Elliott, driver of the number 2 RSR car in the Mini Challenge eSeries. Join me today for a hot lap on my home track, CROFT. So we're trying to maximise the exit coming out of the hairpin so we can get a good run into Clairvaux, which is turn 1. You run a little bit of the concrete on the left hand side and go down 1 gear. We push it as wide as we can without hitting the barriers, down into third in the Hawthorn. Then from this point, flat all the way through the chicane as we go past the rally cross track on the right hand side. Now focus on getting our braking right for tower. Tower recently had a surface change in real life, and you can start to see it here. You brake as the surface changes, you go down 3 gears, get it stopped, make the apex, and then run it as wide as possible, carrying as much speed as we go through into Jim Clark S's. So this is a flat out section of the track, so making sure we've got all the extra miles per hour is vital at this point, especially if you're being chased. We'll go through the kink and go down 2 gears into Sunny In. Then let the car run a little bit wide, touch the concrete patch on the outside, and then keep it flat for Sunny Out. Yet again, maximising all the exit. And as we come into the first part of the complex, go down 1 gear into 4, and hold the left as tight as we can, down a gear into third for the second part of the complex. Run a little bit wide, cut back so we set ourselves up for the hairpin. Go down 1 gear, get the car stopped, and then power all the way out. Join me for a hot lap on my home track, CROFT. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of the meeting. Have a good day, guys.
Well, our hot lapper, Ryan Elliott, was actually tipped in free practice, last knockings, by Rob Butler. So I'm going to ask the questions game of muscle James West. Did you spot anything that he could have done better in his hot lap, mate?
Well, you know, as an absolute pro sim racer with the reputation, I mean, I think he could have done every single corner a lot better. You know, there's a lot of improvement there. But no, honestly, looking at that lap, you know, you could see he was nimbly getting the car through there, nice and delicate. You know, with a circuit like CROFT, you've got to get the entries right to those corners, and with the front wheel drive Mini, you've got to be precise and delicate and not lose that momentum. You know, that's front wheel car driving for you. But I think he did a good job.
Have you got a personal best around here at all?
If I have, I'm not going to publicly state it.
Good lad, good lad. We're into qualifying. So how much of the series have you seen so far?
Only briefly, the previous round bits of it. I'm a bit new to this series, and I'm just getting involved in it now. This is a very last-minute invite, so I'm glad to be here, and I'm going to be paying attention from now on, I think.
That's great. Well, it's great to have you along, and there was a lot of coverage, wasn't there, to look through. The championship, as you've seen, led by Dave Marshall. I'm not sure if Dave's a name that you've come across before. Jack MacIntyre second, and Jack, one of our featured drivers. Today he's going to be our featured driver in race 2. That basically means, for those of you watching for the first time, that we'll have a little bit of focus on where he is in the race, and hopefully have a chat with him in the qualifying session. He's been a regular on the podium, to be absolutely fair. As you can see, he's a Middlesbrough man, so not that far away from CROFT circuit, and has got a very, very good pedigree in sim racing. And there he is. The other featured drivers we've got include Kier McConomy, real world driver, raced in the Coupe S Minis last year, was a regular on the podium there, and he comes from Lichfield in Staffordshire, running for Aaron Reeve Motorsport, and a great little peddler in the S-Class, running the AM-Class the year before that. So we're going to be having a look at Kier McConomy. We've got Tom Williams in the 19 car, but before that, have a look at the graphic for Isaac Smith, the 18-year-old, who is the reigning real-world BRSCC Fiesta champion, the youngest, we believe, the youngest senior car racing champion ever in the UK, and had a superb year, and he's joining the JCW Minis this year. Comes from Harrogate, so again, this is home circuit. Whether he's going to be one of, I know, a plethora of drivers that are looking to try and he's had a little bit of a moment there. Is that Tobin Lee, who was off as well, so better to do it in the qualifying session though, James.
Well, it's definitely important to test your lawn mowing capacity of the Mini. You might as well do it before the race, get it sorted in the quali, and then once you've got a grip of that, then you can avoid it in the race. But yeah, it's a good time to go off road before the race, but you generally probably want to keep it on the track.
Yeah, find the limits before we get into serious competition. One of the things I'm looking forward to seeing here, and if you watched last week's car, I don't know if you watched you probably wouldn't have watched the quali, but we were talking at Snetterton about a thing called the Scary Tree, which is a tree that basically looks scary. But it isn't there. I've got to thank real world Mini driver Hannah Chapman for tagging me and pointing out, and I've kind of forgotten that the Scary Tree had got blown down. I think it was in Storm Callum, but on the simulation it's still there, which
it remains in the sim.
We like the Scary Tree, and most people, I think, were campaigning for it to be put back. Quite how you would do that, even the most experienced arborist might struggle to be able to do that. But thank you, Hannah Chapman, for pointing that out, and I hope Hannah's watching today. Looking forward to catching up with her and plenty of other of the Scottish Mini racers over the course of the coming season. It was my pleasure to work on the Scottish Mini Championship for many, many seasons. Hopefully we'll do again at some point. I really would like to do that. It's a superb championship. There is Max Coates in the 71. This again, very much a home game for him. He lives a spit away from the circuit at Scorton, and he obviously put a lot of work into the chat. How nagging was Max to get you on board, or was it someone else that did the nagging, James?
A little bit of coaxing from the guys at VRRC, and Max a little bit. They wanted to get a bit of the old traditional YouTube sim racing guys involved. So I was like, well, okay, might as well get in there. But sim racing is just amazing. I have to say, like the fact that you can have in this scenario, you've got real world drivers, you've got sim racers, and obviously at the moment people can't actually go outside particularly, and yet
unless you're from Liverpool,
yeah, you can
or
just
Bournemouth.
You can just get into, you sit in your sim rig, and then you're at the virtual track, all driving together from all over the place. It's just that's the real power of sim racing, to be honest.
It's been great for me, and we've done a few interviews. You'll see one a little bit later on with Max Bird. We've done a few interviews, and it's kind of weird building up the camaraderie with people when you don't get to meet them, because normally at the racetrack you get the chance on a Saturday night to go into the cafe or the bar and chew the fat with people and meet them for real. We haven't been able to do that, but we have built up some good new relationships. I have in this championship. As you say, it's a really good environment to be able to do that, and I'm just hoping at some point we will have a get together at one of the rounds, if they're going to allow spectators into the touring car rounds. If not, we'll do it maybe first thing next year after the Mini Challenge eSeries Winter Championship, if that comes to fruition. I've no reason to doubt that it won't. I better have a look at the times. Guess who's on pole?
Who have we got there?
Machine Marshall. He's done it again.
laser beaming it through.
Never mind the machine marshal, boring marshal at the moment, when he's not giving anybody a chance. What he's doing is he's got a 148-point gap at the minute over Jack MacIntyre in second place. Now there are 224 points per weekend, so he's trying to edge the points out to the point where he can maybe wrap it up at Knock Hill, but we've got to keep a very close eye on the points. At the moment, Marshall's got a whole round points advantage over the third place driver, Tobin Lee, who's on 7:01. So at the moment, Marshall could take a round off, and it's only Jack MacIntyre who could overtake him this weekend. He's been that dominant in the championship so far, and he's got that provisional pole from Alex Toth-Jones. Good to see Alex there. He's in the MSL Motorsport consultancy car, and they, of course, one of our big appreciative partners in this championship. Jack Mack is third. Then we've got Isaac Smith fourth at the moment, Rob Butler, who was fastest in free practice this morning. Ryan Elliott right behind him again. Luke Kidsley up into seventh with his new rig. And then Jordan Brennan eighth from Max Bird in ninth. He's in the top 10. Callum Newsham currently rounding out the top 10 for Tom Williams, who we'll have a look at a little bit later on. Most of the kit that the guys have got here, the 1 and 2 in the championship, James using Fanatec. We've got a Thrustmaster interloper in third place, Tobin Lee. And then we've got another trio of Fanatecs, just to give you the lowdown on who's using what.
Well, you've got a good kit mix there. I mean, you know, within the sim racing scene, there's always going to be the arguments over, you know, which is the best equipment, which is the most reliable equipment. Does the equipment make you faster? You know, and I'm sure in the real world of motorsport, I'm sure there's a lot of that going on as well. Even in something where everyone's driving the same car, I'm sure you know there's still debates over, you know, which sort of brake pad or which specific setup is going to be the optimal one. You know, so it goes across both worlds there, I think.
What do you run?
I run a Fanatec stuff, direct drive, Fanatec podium. This is going to sound like an advertisement for Fanatec here.
I'm not talking about
You know, I like the Fanatec equipment, but to be honest, personally, you know, the really good thing about sim racing is that if you know, basic pedals, you can go to a supermarket, maybe not a supermarket, you could go to a store, you go to Amazon, and you can pick up a Logitech G29, for example. It's like 150 quid, 200 quid, and with that, you can race totally competitively to the highest level. People that have won the very top eSport championships have done so with the lowest possible sim racing equipment. And there's probably people out there that could probably race competitively with a keyboard and mouse because they're just crazy. But yeah, the point is, and I think this is the awesome thing with sim racing, is unlike real world motorsport, it's the accessibility is there. You can get the basic kit, you can get in and drive, and what really defines the talent is who's prepared to put the most amount of time in, who's got the racecraft, and who's got that innate skill. It comes down much more to time investment and raw skill. So yeah, it's really nice actually recently to see sim racing get, with the situation that's going on, to have sim racing presented more, and also see the motorsport tie into it. And I think that the crossover benefit you've got there from what motorsport benefits from sim racing is it's something you can do at this point in time, but then also you've got the sim racing then getting more visibility from the real world motorsports. It's really nice to all come together recently.
Yeah, it is good indeed. And going back to Logitech, we've got a few Logitech boys. Rob Butler. Now, I don't know whether Rob's still running Logitech, but certainly at the start of the season, the information he gave us he was running Logitech equipment. Ryan Dignan as well. Tom O'Farrell, one of the other Tom Williams is using Logitech as well. And you talk about the mix of drivers and the get-togethers. This guy here from Barbados, look at that, Damien Hall. We had a decent number of hits. What we do, the interviews that we put together, we put them out as well for people to watch, as well as the people that watch the show. He had a couple of hundred people watch this video on YouTube as well, which was great, and he's a real laid-back character. Looking to get back into the top 10, he was a little bit away from that. Now, I think he had a bad start, had some damage in the first race at Snetterton Circuit last weekend, but enjoying himself here. 18th place at the moment, with the machine marshal still there from Matt Richards, who's popped up into second place. ATJ, Alex Toth-Jones in third, is the top real-world driver, denoted by either the R, the sim lads with the S, the R for the real world drivers. The real world championship, as we saw on the graphic at the start of the day, Max Coates 45 points ahead of Josh Hislop, and I don't think Josh with us again this weekend. He missed last weekend because he was actually doing track stuff for real at the Nürburgring on the Nordschleife, which is, I can't think of a better place to get back to real racing. Actually, what a 14-mile track, and I've actually had the pleasure of driving that many years ago. And do I remember it? I can't remember in the corners because it's far too technical, but a great circuit. And so Max Coates, I think, likely to be challenged by Josh Martin. So we need to look at Josh Martin as well. Now, Coates and Martin on the timing screen, 14th and 15th. So those two with about 30 points between them in the Real World Drivers' Championships. And the top Real World driver gets a Virtual Reality Racing Club sim setup as their prize. So
are there any drivers right now racing using a VR headset, or are they sticking to monitors for this at the moment?
No, we have got some VRs, and funnily enough, Damien Hall, the racer from Barbados, has got an Oculus Rift. I'm just having a look down the...
He must be cooking. He's in Barbados with his VR headset on. He's probably he's just filled up with sweat. He's committed to VR. To be honest, I mean, personally, VR for me is the way to play driving sims. I mean, if you want to sit at home but feel like you are sat inside of a car, VR is the only real way. I mean, you can get triple screens, you can have projectors, but VR, it feels like you're actually sat in the car. It's mind blowing, and for people that haven't tried it, you have to give it a go if you've not.
Isaac Smith is as well, apparently, according to the sheet we've got. I wish I'd used that line when I'd interviewed him. See, this is why we've got you on. You're the colour, you see. Give it a bit of
the despair.
I should have said, Damien, you must be cooking, man. That's absolutely.
Is it actually hot in Barbados at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's hot all the time.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's hotter in the UK. It's a weird thing where when it's boiling in the UK, it's colder in the places that are normally boiling. So
Yeah, I must admit, I was chatting to some American colleagues in the week, and we were in 83, 84 here I'm in South London, and they were going, and you're complaining about the heat? Well, it's relative, isn't it?
Yeah, well, British people can't take the hot weather.
No, you can't.
We don't have air cons.
James, I wouldn't mind if we could go out and enjoy it. We're stuck indoors,
That's locked inside in the sim rigs, playing awesome simulators. It's terrible. So for you probably have a normal life. You probably get out there. You're used to the real world. If you're coming from the sim scene and the YouTuber side of things, it's like, oh, hang on, nothing's changed here. I'm still in my sim rig. I'm playing games. Still normal.
Got a new pole, man.
Oh, hang on, we've got an update. Yeah,
Butler.
Our Butler's getting in there.
Rob Butler, he is really fly, and he's a real world racer, but he's packed in. So how can we call him a real world racer now? He hasn't got the money to go real world racing, so he's a bit of a sim lad now. There's Tobin Lee going through in the 55 car, and if you know any of these names, by all means shout out a bit of experience that you might have had of them in your own racing as well, because it'd be interesting to have that. Oh, Tobin over, that is a frequent real world mistake there, overrunning. Going into the very, very tight hairpin slowest corner on the lap. They'll be banging down second gear around there. So Butler, this is great. I'm not knocking Dave Marshall at all, but really good to see somebody prepared to knock him off the perch at the moment. Let's see whether Matt Richards in third place can knock Dave Marshall down as well. Marshall has been building up the points, winning the fastest off the front races at most of the meetings, and then backing it up with top 10s. Okay, first event he had a couple of 11th places in the reverse grid races. That was enough to steal the championship lead for him at the end of race number 1. The other thing that adds into the points is we look at Matt Richards there, running P3 at the minute in the number 4 car. The other thing that adds to the points, as regular viewers will know, is that there's 6 points for each pole position and 6 points for each fastest lap. So that could make a big difference, and it really did in terms of the first event of the season. We've got 2 minutes 50 to go on this one, so I'm going to start jotting down the top 10 qualies and looking at the list. Somebody having an offer. I think that might have been our second place man in the real world races, Josh Martin. It was certainly a green machine going off. Now, where is Josh? Have a look at where he is in relation to Mr. Coates. He's actually up front at the moment, and that 15th and 16th place on the timing screen is the battle for the Real World Racers outright championship lead at the minute. Max Bird's got himself up into 11th. Any thoughts on what you've seen from qualifying though, James?
Well, it looks like they're all pretty nice and close together. I mean, interesting to see if those times improve in the last few, well, coming up to the last 2 minutes now, with Assetto Corsa, you can obviously set up the track to be slippier, and then as the drivers get through the track and the track warms up and the rubber gets put down, you get more grip, which obviously then you end up getting faster lap time. So I don't know with the settings on this if it's been at 100% all the time or if it's increasing. So it's often with cars like this, with this sort of with the front wheel drive cars at this pace, it's only in those very last the final 2 laps that people put in where you get those laser beam laps that put them at the top. But yeah, I mean, it looks pretty stable and settled. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if anyone pips Mr. Butler there in the last minutes. So coming up to the final laps of quali here, I think, or final 2 laps that they've got.
We are, yeah, and a couple of drivers set fast runs on. I don't know if they're in pits or have been for a while, but Dave Marshall did a 1:28.336 on his 10th. He's done as many laps as anybody else. Mostly, he tends to go out and set pole position earlier on and then park it and go and sit in the in the virtual pit lane.
He does his lap and then he's like, right, that's it, time for a cup of tea. I've done my work here, just chill out.
Yep, yeah, and what we're waiting for, we've only had a little bit so far. I don't know whether the drivers get to listen to me whittering on, but they probably switched me off. They might listen as we've got you on board today, but I've been saying we've been waiting for a little bit of emotion from Mr. Marshall. We haven't really had it yet, and that's what you want from a real world driver. It's a little bit of emotion, but I think he's waiting for the big championship win. So 29 seconds on the clock to go, and it's Rob Butler on provisional pole at the moment by just under 2/10 from the machine marshal. Jordan Brennan goes P3. Where's he pulled back from? Jordan Brennan, bang! Silent bang, almost. Let's get another sponsor on board. Jordan Brennan up into third. He was going to be our interview this week, but he blew me out. He hadn't got a decent mic and he had to work. 2 very good excuses in my book. So luckily we managed to hustle Max Bird to do a quick interview with us as well. So big thank you to Max Bird for doing that. Checker flag on the session, and Jordan Brennan, the Newsham Nutters and the Jordan Brennan fan club are going to be delighted with that. I'm not, because I've got to write everything out again now with the top 10. So Brennan in third, looking for another podium. Had his first podium last time out, James. So he's starting to get that confidence that you need. Confidence builds, doesn't it, once you get it? There is the liquid body car.
I'd imagine with a lot of the real-world drivers coming into this, a lot of them are going to be new to sim racing, and I think as the series progresses, they start to get to grips with it. Because with sim racing, you don't have that G-force feel, and for real-world drivers, that's going to absolutely throw their minds off. But once you dial into the force feedback and the nature of simulators, and you're dialed into that, then you're all right. So it'll be interesting to see who actually, by the end of it, progresses, who does the most progress outside of who's just innately the fast driver.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Oh, Tom Williams got in top 10 as well at the end there, so good for him. Let's see if we get any more changes, because they will be allowed to complete their lap. We're looking at Alex Toth-Jones, who is 5th, and Alex in the number 11 car has had podia. He's had 3 podia so far, and grabbed a chat with him. I think he's also racing in the virtual touring car championship as well. Who's that parked up? Is that Coatsy parked up on the outside there?
He's just having a little picnic, before the race starts. Sandwich in the grass. It's nice grass on this circuit, I have to say. I mean, it's a little bit luminous, but there is grass there. It's important on racetracks. If you've got grass, it's a good racetrack. And most of the old-fashioned, the old-school British racetracks bring that classic, World War II airfield circuit, plenty of grass. Nice corners. What more could you want?
Yeah, it's some real good tracks. And have you raced on Anglesey at all? We'll talk about Anglesey in a little bit later on. But here's the qualifying times headed by Rob Butler. Well done, Rob, the first man other than Jack Mack and Dave MacIntrye. He's the first real-world driver to set a pole. So that is a little bit of history in the making there for Rob Butler. The machine marshal 2nd, Jordan Brennan is 3rd from Matt Richards, Alex Toth-Jones 5th. Then it is Jack Mack down in 6th place. He's got work to do from there, the 3rd row of the grid. Isaac Smith on row 4 with Ryan Elliott. Then Luke Kidsley and Tom Williams wrapping up our top 10. Hopefully we'll get the drivers down in our virtual.
Do you know what? Looking at those results, they are glued together. It's like they smeared themselves in super glue and stuck themselves together. It's going to be tight racing. Put it that way at the start of the race. I'm expecting I'm expecting a little bit of contact here.
I think we may well do, and it tends to be going down to Clervo on lap one. The man who's going to experience that at the front of the grid is the driver who took pole position, Rob Butler. Rob, are you there?
I am. I don't know if you can hear me okay.
Yeah, good to speak to you again, Rob. We had a quick chat last week, and congratulations on taking pole position, the first real-world driver to grab a pole and breaking the domination by the machine marshal and the silent assassin. So we need to find a nickname for you at some point. I need to ask you a quick question before we go on. Right, are you still using Logitech, Rob?
No, I'm a Fanatec.
Get in there. Get in there.
Yeah,
Tell us about you.
We've had some upgrades, so
Okay.
seems to be working anyway. But yeah, look.
Are you using a load cell?
I've got a Husaveld Ultimate pedals.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't be able to drive around Croft with the bumps without them. Unfortunately, it makes quite a bit of difference in terms of feel, you know.
Tell us about your pole lap if you can remember it.
Yeah, look, I was up till 1:30 this morning, working with the machine. We were trying to get it hooked up. To be honest with you, I was on for it a lap earlier, and I made an absolute mess of the last section. And I was actually down through the first split. The second split, I found 2/10 that I didn't even know I had. And then in the last section, I got it right. And yeah, it was good enough for pole. I really thought Dave was on for 28-0 though, to be honest. So maybe look, it's a good feeling to be back on pole again. I think my last pole was in 2016, and it's Super Cup car in Ireland. So
good, nice one. That's well done. And have you raced Croft before? For real?
No, I've never been in my life.
Well, expect a bun fight as they go down to the first corner. It's called Clervo. It's generally a big fun fight. We'll have the best part of a dozen cars going through the gravel, I'm sure.
Yeah, well,
I want to face you.
I'm just going to focus on getting it off the line and getting out of there. But a massive thanks to Rich at VRRC who helped me out, get me set up with the kid and making it work well for me.
Nice one, Rob. Well done. Good luck for the race. We'll speak to you on the podium afterwards. I fingers crossed that we do that. Well done. And I think we've got a couple of our featured drivers in the mix as well that we're going to have a word with. And the first one I'm going to chat to is Isaac Smith. Isaac, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hello, mate. Nice to see you. We were talking a little bit on. We've got James West with us as well today. And I think you use, according to the sheet we've got anyway, the VR Oculus Rift. Is that right?
Yeah, I use the Oculus Rift S.
And how do you find that? Presumably you've used screens and that before, but moved into that. Did it make a big difference when you switched over?
Well, I've only ever used VR, so
okay.
It's kind of like what I'm used to now. So I don't know, to be honest, if there is a big difference. I haven't tried triple monitors or anything like that yet. That's on the bucket list.
All right, I think what James is saying, probably not worth doing it.
You've been spoiled now. Once you've gone to VR, you can't go back. It's just a one-way street, I'm afraid.
And
right.
7th position on the grid. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it was a bit of a scrappy lap, to be honest. I was on for about a high 2, I'd say. So obviously all to fight for in this race, so should be good.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And this is the real world, of course, your home track. So have you done some real world laps around here? I guess this is maybe a place of choice for testing.
I've never actually been.
Really?
Yeah.
And you won't be going this year either, will you?
Away. Nope.
Like, wait for 2021.
Yeah, should be good. I don't have to travel as far then.
Fair enough. Well, good luck for the race, mate. And we'll catch up with you on the podium at one or other of the races. Probably this one, maybe, if you could make some progress up the grid from 7th on the grid. Good top 10, though. Good to see you. We'll go to our other featured driver who is in the virtual comms box waiting to chat to us. Hopefully, it's the silent assassin, Jack Mack. Jack, are you there?
I am. Hello.
Hello, mate. How are you today?
Yeah, not too bad.
Now, you're just ahead of Isaac Smith, the guy we were just talking to. So you're on row 3, and you're the only driver in the championship within a round's worth of points of the machine at the moment. So, he's been knocked off pole. So, we're seeing the little vulnerabilities now from Dave Marshall as the other drivers seemingly pick things up. But 6th position, you're going to be able to beat him from there.
Oh, well, it's going to be tough, isn't it? It's all going to come down to turn one, I think, and see, like you said, what happens with the melee that's going to happen. But we'll see. I'll do my best. Dave's super quick, even if he doesn't qualify so well. Once he gets in the race, he seems to speed up a little bit sometimes. So yeah, it can be really tough. Going to have to rely on some bad fortunes, I think, to be able to get up there and beat him.
Fair comment. I think looking at the drivers that are around you on the grid, I would say, and hopefully ain't the curse of the commentator, but it looks like you've got, good drivers who know what they're doing going down into Clervaux Turn 1. Rob Butler on pole, Dave Marshall alongside row 2, Jordan Brennan, and then Matt Richards, Alex Toth-Jones next to you on row 3, Isaac Smith and Ryan Elliott behind you. So I'd say there isn't anyone necessarily who's going to cause you a problem. You're all good, sensible racers and exciting races to watch. So we'll see what happens. But do you ever look at the grid and think who's around you and how that might play out?
A little bit, yeah. But like you said, everyone in the top 10 is all really good and really respectful. So it should be maybe the first 2 or 3 races today will be pretty tame through turn 1. But I guess as we get later on in the day, it might get a bit more spicy.
Okay, mate. Well, best of luck. Thanks for chatting to us, and good luck for the race, which one of our featured drivers in. And we'll catch up with you on the podium a little bit later on.
Cheers, thank you.
So they heard from our official pole position man. Rob Butler takes pole position. We heard from Isaac Smith, and we heard from the silent assassin, Jack MacIntrye, getting ready for race number 1 of the day. And there won't be long to go before they come out of the holding area. In the real world, the holding area is down the end of pit lane. And as you're hearing James describing, we've got the runway, which people use as the hard standing here. The graphic you're looking at the moment is Snetterton, where we were last week. But the CROFT circuit, a lot of hard standing in one of the old runways, which I think they used to use as part of the circuit going back in the day, as indeed they did at Snet, another former airfield circuit. And very easy for the cars to sort of trundle down into the holding area, and they join at the end of that first straight, and that first right-hand corner I was talking about, Clervaux, which is, when you've got this many equal cars going into that corner, you can expect the odd problem. So the first of 4 races we are looking forward to. The cars, as you can see, are on the grid and we're getting ready to go. Rob Butler, first pole position. I tell you what, he's not going to be nervous, but it was good to hear him say that this is his first pole since 2016. Dunlop supercars out in Ireland, I think it's Sonny Howard built cars. The SHP chassis. Wait for the lights to go on. Absolutely, James. Here we go. 5 lights on. We've had some long waits over the previous rounds. Out go the lights. Butler makes a good one. Dave Marshall in blue, I think maybe slightly the quicker of the 2, but it's a long way around the outside as they come down towards Clervaux. This is where it could go wrong. Butler, it is that leads. Jordan Brennan is in 4th place because Matt Richards, I think, got the better of him. He did. He's in the blue and white car in 3rd as they go into Hawthorns now. Brennan now fighting for 4th place. They come through the chicane for the first time. And there we go. James gave a big build-up about all the cars that were going to go off.
One car's gone wide, but most of them just survived. They've just trundled through as if it's fine. I mean, they're being very respectful of each other. As P1's then he's cruising. He's got through there, but the car's behind bunching up. I'm not sure who that is. It's just got a bit wide on the curb, but they seem to be. They're actually driving pretty safe here. I think. Well, I was waiting, Butler waiting to pounce there. I think he might go for it on the next corner.
Yeah, it's Butler leading at the moment with Dave Marshall in behind. Matt Richards busy challenging as well. And Marshall wants to get into the lead. We've seen Marshall soak up pressure in the lead. The pattern tends to be that he gets out front and then begins to get away whilst he allows the others to squabble right behind him. They're coming down into the complex for the first time. And this is one of the several overtaking opportunities here. And you can see Butler getting a little bit defensive. The midpoint on track, this is good really for him in that it doesn't give an opportunity for Marshall to nip up the inside line. It also means that it brings the other cars closer to Marshall, so he's got to keep an eye on what's going on behind him as they go down the straight in towards Clervaux for the second time. This is where we expected the big bun fight, this corner. And definitely not an accurate simulation because no cars went off there. But that was because of good driving by all of these guys. Absolutely superb stuff. Butler out front, he really has arrived, hasn't he, in the sim racing scene at the moment. So it's a real world racer out front. 3, 4 sim lads behind him. Then Isaac Smith in 6th position. Ryan Elliott next up. To have a quick look back to see Coates is ahead of Martin. for the championship leaders at the moment, and here's Mac.
Just chilling out there, waiting his time. I mean, with this type of racing, in many ways, you want to... Being in first place isn't necessarily a guaranteed win at the start of the race. Staying back a little bit, maybe looking out for an accident that might occur when the people are battling in front of you, and then waiting to pounce. As long as the guy in first place doesn't pull away and just get off out into the distance, into the sunset, staying back a little bit can definitely pay off. And I wouldn't be surprised if, as we go through this race, we get some spicy action from the guys in front, with allowing the guys behind them to then take advantage of that. We've still got Butler's in first place at the moment, followed by Marshall and then Richards, I think. Yeah,
pretty much how they qualified, isn't it, at the minute? And Richards was fourth on the grid, so only one driver lost one position, which was Jordan Brennan. And he was a little bit unlucky getting down into Clervaux and just got past Brennan with the Union flag at top of the car. With another Union flag on the car behind him, just to confuse matters, which is Jack Mack, the guy we heard from just before the race started. Then it's Isaac Smith in sixth place as they go through the chicane. We haven't seen anyone wallop the tyres there yet, which you normally do with some less experienced drivers in the mix.
I've noticed that the tyres seem to be placed a little bit further to the side on this version of the track, so I think that helps a little bit. You know, if you do hit the tyres, it's pretty much end of your race.
Marshall up front now, James.
He's moved up. We had a changeover there. Nice.
Yep. Yeah,
so they're doing a bit of knitting between each other. It's like two grandmas at the bus stop, nattering away, knitting at the same time, backwards and forwards. Who's going to finish in front though? That's the question.
Butler's going to be kicking himself for a little bit of out braking. I wonder if that was going up in towards Tower, which is the corner at the end of the back straight. Right hand. If you go straight on there, you're going into the Barley. It's a little bit like a scene from the Field of Dreams. Have you seen that film where James Earl Jones disappears into the barley or the cornfield?
I'm sorry, it's before my time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's the well, that's the other thing that we entirely got an age difference here between me and me.
Do you remember that Charlie Chaplin film?
Oh, come on, not that. It's a great film, you need to watch it, not the Charlie Chaplin.
I watch YouTube videos now, I'm part of that generation.
You're missing out. You're missing out, man.
Look at this view. So this is what's really nice. You've got the view down the start-finish line there, as you say, part of the old, the actual World War II runway, and you can, you've got all the cars. You see pretty much the whole grid there, just going into the distance. Absolutely fantastic there, and everyone's still pretty close together. There's you've got one driver pulling away. Marshall is getting a little bit of a gap. He's got Butler, Richards, and Brennan staying pretty close together, but there's another gap. Then the rest of the field are kind of bunched together. There's a little bit of space now, a little bit of to and fro between some drivers. It's this little pack behind P1. This cluster of three cars. They're still nibbling away at each other. It's like somebody's fallen in an Amazon River and there's piranhas nibbling away. Who's going to be on top of it? I'm not sure. I don't know. Who's your money on? Brennan, Richards, Butler?
Marshall's going to get away here because those three piranha are having a little nibble, as you say, and they're not. It's all the time they're fighting with each other. This is exactly what Dave Marshall wants. He's the machine, as named by Championship Director Anthony Williams. He's just going to get away, and Rob Butler needs to break the toe. He maybe work with Matt Richards behind him and Jordan Brennan, but Marshall again. This is what he does. He gets in front, pulls away. Even if he was in second position, which we've seen a few times in the race runs, he's managed to just continually put the pressure on. I think Silverstone was a notable meeting where he put the pressure on Jack McIntyre back in fifth place at the moment. You heard Jack saying he was going to have to really benefit from some misfortune to move further up the grid, but he has got into fifth place from sixth on the grid. And who's got fastest lap so far? Extra 6 points for that. It's the machine. Mr. Marshall's got fastest lap at the moment, 1:28.7.
If you go to an onboard of Marshall, you'll hear the Terminator theme tune playing, and you look into his eyes, it's just glowing. But you've got Brennan back there. We had the onboard just a second ago, and it's so frustrating when you're in that position and you feel like you've got the pace, and you probably do have the pace in many ways, but you've got two cars in front of you, and you're like, it's just a brick wall in front of me. I can't get past them. And as you say, you then have the machine that's driving consistently, robotically going through the track, pulling away and into the distance. And if you haven't made that move, it's too late. So then you're forced to battle, but then that slows you down. You want to be in front, but you can't get in front, so it's frustrating. There's a bit of a lock-up. I'm not sure which driver that was. You might know the liveries better than me, but he got through it. They didn't lose too much time. Just a little bit of tire smoke. It's all fine.
I'll tell you what, Max Bird gave a word for the sim racers and how good they are. Max Bird's in the 44 car. He's down at the moment in 19th place. I won't use the word because it will spoil the interview if you watch it. As Brennan now with MacIntyre up ahead of him.
On my side.
Brennan's having a look at the Liquid Molly car, looking to have a little dabble and try and go
a bit
through.
of paint trading there. Don't worry about the scratches.
Yeah, we've seen a few Catherine wheels splayed on the side where you get the tyre rubs, which is so real, superb sight that we've seen from those. There is Luke Kidsley going through, race winner earlier on. What was that, Silverstone, wasn't it? Luke Kidsley, I think, won the race in the number 8 car. It was race 2, first of the reverse grid races. There he is in the number 8 car, real world racer, champion racer in single seaters. Luke Kidsley, I think, in his Formula Jedi car, had held the outright circuit lap records for many tracks. In the year that he took the championship in the little Honda motorbike engine powered cars that he raced in single seaters. Very quick peddler and actually a feared driver. Anytime someone sees him in the championship, goodness me, we've got real quality driving if he was in the mix. And he's challenging at the moment Tobin Lee, third in the championship. So Tobin down in 10th place. And we, as the race goes on, James, we need to keep our eyes on 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, because that's where pole position comes from race 2. And as you said, difficult to overtake, so good chance of getting a race win if you get the reverse grid pole.
Yeah, I mean, look at that right now. We've got Richard. I think it's Richard trying to get on the back of Butler there. He's pushing him, and there was a little bit of bumper contact. You know, a friendly little kiss, just like a little candlelit dinner kiss. You know, nothing too physical. Just a little peck. Oh, no! I thought he was going to go. I thought he was like, I'm going to go for the move up the inside. I mean, that's the thing with these cars. Obviously, they're not the fastest of cars. You have to. The speed difference going into the corners isn't going to be massive, so it's like you kind of do have to send that pass by first class same day business delivery, otherwise you're not getting it in there, and you've got to make sure you get that right, because if you miss the post box, you're in the side of the vehicle, and there's a lot of crying from the car that you've just driven into. So he's going for it, but he's backed off again now. I think we've got 10 minutes left here, so there's time, but he's going to have to do something soon. I think is Mr. Richards on Butler there.
Yeah, he needs to do it. I tell you what, though, the fastest laps, the personal best laps, Jack MacIntyre down to Ryan Elliott, so that's 4th to 9th. All set their best laps on that previous tour. Coates coming under pressure from Tom Williams. Tom, one of our featured drivers later on in the show, coming out of Tower and heading down into Barcroft, the Jim Clark S's, and then round into the sunny in, sunny out. Call it a complex, but basically two right-handers. Where is Coatsy at the moment? Down in 12th place. Got his nose back in front of Tom Williams.
Yeah, he just snuck it back in front of him there. There's a bit of side by side there, a bit of tussle, but it was all right. He was calm in his car. You know, he was under control. He was having a happy time there. It was nicely done by Coates. I think Coates is the type of driver to keep things nice and calm. You know, no stress in the car. He's probably actually sweating. He's probably shaking, but you know, he'll say he's calm. But it looked like he was calm from the external viewpoint.
Great, so do you know the thing about this area as well, Croft? It is one of the most knowledgeable areas, the most knowledgeable fans that you can mix with up here in the real world. And we were up here working on, I forget what racing we were working on, but we were staying at a farm, a B&B, and chatting to the farmer. They all know each other, don't they? Up here? This is James Herriot country going back as well. And we said to the farmer, he said, "Oh, you're racing?" I said, "Yeah, we commentate on the racing." I said, "Do you want me to get you a pass?" He said, "No, I'll just go in." He said, "On all the man who owns the farm, I'll just go in through gate," which he did. They all know each other, and they all know Max Coates, and they know the Coates family as well.
Well, he's based up there. He's not far from the track, so you know. I mean, that helps, doesn't it? That gives him a home advantage, really. I guess. You know,
he spends loads of time here.
He's got a little shed on the track secretly. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, it comes from Scorton, which is a lovely village. It's one of those old villages with like the village green's got a cricket pitch on it, so you can sit around the village green and watch that. But anyway, enough of the Yorkshire tourist sports stuff.
Can't go wrong. I mean, and that's the thing with Croft as well as a circuit. It is kind of a strange circuit. For those of you that have never been there, it literally is like a track in a field. Like you're like, oh, there's a track. Normally you've got stands or a bit of a warning, or it's kind of just next to a town. But Croft is literally a track in a field.
Callum Newsham grabbing a little bit of curb there, and he's got Ryan Elliott down behind him. So Newsham in 9th place at the moment. Marshall's still there, still with fastest lap, which he set early on. He's got the extra points, 56 points in the offing for him. Rob Butler's still second from Richards, and this nice low down shot here from the silent assassin Jack MacIntyre, 4th position. Jordan Brennan is in 5th. Hopefully we'll get our interview with Jordan in the week if we can prize him away from his 12-hour work shifts. Then we've got Isaac Smith running in 6th place, but Marshall controlling this one. Not as big a gap as we've had in other races, James. Just under a second at the moment, but it's not always over a second now, as we've said that. Going through Tower Bend. They've cut the barley, haven't they, on the outside, so the barley's not full and complete there at the moment. And you just saw it's a little bit of a cut-off, which they used to use for the Eurocar circuit as well, which made it almost, well, not an oval, but more of an oblong. They have the big oval racing in America, and we used to have oblong racing here at Croft going back in the just before the millennium, I think it was.
And it was obviously superior to the American racing, let's be honest.
Oblong racing.
I wonder why that didn't catch on.
It does make you wonder, doesn't it? It was a good championship, actually, to be fair. They mixed the road racing as their big pressure here. Butler is under massive pressure from Matt Richards. Richards is going to try and tee him up. Now Butler runs wide. That's going to give him the defensive line coming up into the hairpin. Again, he takes that midpoint as he did on lap number 1. Richards is going to have to work really hard to go around the outside line. If they slow each other up, they'll bring Jack Mack in the mix here. Jack Mack could be in with a shout of the podium. So maybe that's the best hope for Butler, if he could just try and back up the 3rd place car of Matt Richards now. Really, if they work together, they could get some towing action going on, some slipstreaming on both of the big straights and on the straight going out of Tower Bend, and work together and try and reel in Butler, but at the moment, try and reel in Marshall, but at the moment that's not happening. We're just about coming up to the 3/4 point distance of this race, which remember is 20 minutes plus the completion of the lap once the clock is run down.
Yeah, it's really nice to see you've got. I mean, obviously Marshall's pulling away a bit. You know, he's under control, but it's that battle between 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and potentially 5th as they're scrapping. In the last 5 minutes here, that's where the interesting action looks like it'll be. And of course, though he is a machine, machines are prone to. Oh, we got no. What's that? No, I thought someone had gone off there. They haven't. Machines are prone to errors, you know.
That one isn't. That one isn't.
Not, is he totally foolproof?
Yeah. Although you're saying that, oh, hello, side-by-side action here.
Oh, he's gone wide!
He has gone wide. Callum Newsham making up a place there. Racing hard with Alex Toth-Jones for 8th position. There is Callum in the Northcott vending machine. It's not really a vending machine, but Northcott, of course, producing some great coffee. So that'd be freebie, actually, from Dave Newsham, Callum's dad, yet. But that'll be on the cards now, won't it? I'll be on the Northcott, yeah, got it right. I'll be on the cards now. Good lad is Dave Newsham, Callum's dad, ex-British Touring Car Championship race winner, Legends Cars champion back in the day as well, and Clio Cup champion back in the day. The JCW Minis, of course, replacing Clio Cup on the British Touring Car Championship package this year. Down into Clairvaux again. There is Callum Newsham, 8th place for him at the moment. Working hard, but so too is Alex Toth-Jones, who takes a wide line here, looking to try and get a run out of Hawthorns, down through the chicane and onto the back straight. Then we've got Tobin Lee immediately behind there. Matt Richards still putting the pressure on and looks at the outside line at Tower Bend here, side by side with Rob Butler, who knows he's got the inside line, gives him a little bit of a clout. Out of my way, he says, I've got the line, I'm going to have this, but as they come through the S's, there might be the chance for Richards to go around the outside line. He's still hanging out there. Rob Butler grabs it, runs a little bit wide. Is he going to have another wide run? No, he's got the line as they grab the apex into the next corner. This is great racing between these two, and the machine's going to be looking behind him and saying, this is great, lads. Keep battling, slow yourselves up, and I'll get away. The gap now has gone out to 1.7 seconds for Dave Marshall out front. Rob Butler 2nd. Matt Richards in the number 4 car is 3rd. Richards having a good run here, but is now beginning to be caught again by Jack MacIntyre in the red, white and blue car. Richards has a little nibble down the inside line.
Yeah. It was like he smelled blood there. He was like, oh, then he backed out of it. You know, it's the last 3 minutes 30 to go. And the heat. Oh, who's that coming through there? Kidsley.
That's Coates, isn't it? Coates and Kidsley.
Yeah, battling through there, a bit of poking at the back, trying to get those positions in those the lower point positions there. But yeah, it's the last 3 minutes 20 seconds to go in. The heat's been turned up, and it's now all or nothing. They're like, right, that's it. We're getting there. We've got to get those points. We're going for it. And as a result, there's a little bit of wrestling action going on. But it's, you know, you have to make with these types of cars. He's got another pass in there. With these types of cars, you've got to get them moving. You've got to be committed. You're going to have contact. Obviously, you've got to be careful that it's not illegal contact. But you've got to get in there. And then, so we just saw MacIntyre, I think, is making a push now.
Yeah, he's having a go, so he's putting the pressure on Richards. That's the Richards is the middle car of the three going through shot now. In fact, he's more than three. Getting stuck in. Going back to your point about making the contact, James, you're obviously aware that we've got a permanent clerk of the course for this championship in the name of Andy Ringland, who spoke to him a couple of rounds back, just going through the amount of footage that he has to watch back because of protests or inquiries, shall we say, after the race. So we do have a fight. It is run as closely as possible to the real world professional championship, including clerk of the course. So if there are moves, then results are provisional, as we always used to say in the Legends Cars days. The fixture list is provisional until the race is run, and then the results are provisional.
But I have to say that the racing in this is really good. I just had Bird has just stolen a position from Reed there, and it's been given back again. Now he's taking it back. He's coming back again. Round the outside, he's gone too slow. He's gone too wide there, too slow, and that's Reed's held on to the position there. But yeah, so the really nice thing with you see with this is like the racing. It's just, you could be watching the real world mini racing here. The actual racecraft and the racing is very similar, and the approach there, it makes it really nice and compelling to watch and also to take part in. And the beauty with sim racing, Brennan's just took Richard there. I'm trying to talk here, guys. Stop overtaking each other.
And MacIntyre's up on the podium now as well in all that excitement. So it's Marshall, Butler, Silent Assassin, Matt Richards and Brennan down in 5th place at the moment. Jordan trying to get that back at the moment from Richards, but he's got Isaac Smith right behind him as well. So Isaac getting stuck in, and that was really surprising to hear Isaac Smith, who comes from Harrogate. It's his local track. He's never been here. Absolutely amazing, mainly because the mini championship he raced it, the Fiesta championship he won last year, don't come up to Croft because it's run by the BRSCC, and they tend to use non-BARC circuits. So not politically, but just traditionally they have their own sort of base of circuits, which tend to be, the Brands Hatches, Mallory Park, Castle Coombe, places like that, and also the MSV tracks, I think is what I'm saying, ones that are owned and run by Jonathan Palmer. 36 seconds plus 1 lap remaining, and it is Mr. Marshall. We haven't had a chat with him yet. It's unusual after qualifying that we haven't had a chinwag with the machine so far, but he is out front.
Yeah, he's got himself 2-second gap there. It's pretty, I think he's earned the name the machine fairly.
Rob Butler here, this is going to be his best finish actually. I was thinking he was on the podium last time out. Hasn't had a P2 yet, so he's in line. He's gone 3-2-1, possibly if he gets a 1 in the next meeting or maybe later on in this one. So Butler looking pretty good. Jack back on the podium as well in 3rd place. Is going to lose 16 points, so 148, 154, 164 points will be the gap first to second in the championship. So he's keeping himself within a meeting as we watch Tom Williams in the yellow car having a go at Josh Martin in 3rd place. Martin 2 places behind Coates, so Coates consolidating his real world drivers championship lead at the moment over Josh Martin, who remains in P2. 3rd place in that real world category is Isaac Smith, who's ahead of both of those guys on track at the moment, but he's a little way down. He's 50 points down. They will get closer to Josh Martin, but not by much. He'll maintain 3rd place in the real world drivers if we take Josh Hislop out of the equation, which I'm sure Josh won't mind us doing as he's not here. There is Isaac Smith in the 1-2-3. Great direction as ever from Mike, picking up on him as we talk about him. And on to the final lap. Good first race of the day so far.
It's been really nice, close driving, and crucially, nothing crazy. It's been really nice, clean driving. Like I said, I think the marshalling definitely helps with that. And the drivers actually respecting each other, which is quite nice. But yeah, really good battling up front there. I think we've still got Butler and MacIntyre still close together, and I think a lot of the action is happening further back in the field there. Someone needs to run across the track and make it a bit more tricky for Marshall here on the final lap. Can we get a streaker across the circuit or something?
Yeah, look at the streaker is Marshall. He streaks away with this one for about 1.9 seconds. Who's 10th, 9th and 10th? So you're going to see Callum Newsham at the moment on the front row for race 2. And Tobin Lee, the reverse grid race specialist, is going to be there as well for race 2. Max Coates is a second and a half nearly down on those. So Coatesy would have loved to have had a pole position here. He's going to have to maybe do it for race 2. But here is Dave Marshall, who is on his way. The machine comes through Sunny out down towards the complex for the last time. This again, a home circuit effectively for Dave Marshall, comes from Seaham in County Durham. Was a Want to Race scholarship finalist in 2018, a Team Hard Scholarship finalist in 2019 and comes out of the hairpin for the last time. Inch perfect as ever the machine is with Rob Butler in P2. Butler's going to get his best result, but it's another win for the machine. Dave Marshall takes the win again to extend the championship lead. Second position goes to Rob Butler. Jack Mack on the podium again in third. Matt Richards fourth. Jordan Brennan fifth. Isaac Smith in sixth place. Then it was Ryan Elliott seventh from Alex Toth-Jones, Callum Newsham and Tobin Lee wrapping up the top 10 for our first race. And again, we do what we do in the real world. The cars go through a slowing down lap, wave to the crowd, or the virtual crowd if there is one, and the marshals as well, and then they'll fall up on the track 1, 2, 3. We were thinking about doing the interviews in reverse order for this round. I didn't get to talk to Mike about that, so I won't throw it in. We will do 3, 2, 1. Thanks. Yeah, Mike just confirmed we can do that. So we're going to do, and it makes Dave Marshall wait a little bit longer. After 19th place, you can see there, Kiam Economy getting stuck in with Will Fairclough. The other thing, actually, James, if you could give some thought to this, as our newcomer in the commentary box with us, is who was your driver of the race? So what we'll do is we'll give that some thought. We'll announce it after we've done the podium interviews, if that's okay.
I'll consider it.
Thanks, mate. We appreciate that. As is typical with me, as regular viewers will know, I clearly forgot about it right away through the race. I should put a sticker on the screen just to remind me, I suppose. But yeah, I'm trying to look and see if anybody had a better result than they might otherwise have done. Certainly Rob Butler getting a career best of second place there. And the drivers coming around into Parc Ferme. Now, just thinking about the order here, I think Jack MacIntrye was the last guy we spoke to. He's going to be the first man we speak to, so bookended interviews with the silent assassin, who did pretty well there. So he qualified 6 and made some really good progress up into 3rd position. So let's talk to that man. 6 on the grid, up into 3rd place. A hard race, but some good overtakes there from Jack MacIntrye in the VRRC car. Good race to get on the podium. Well done, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, that was tough. It's a pretty tricky track to get by safely. So when the opportunities arose, I just kind of chucked it in there and hoped for the best a little bit. But no, good race. Really pleased with 3rd off 6th.
I think the clerk of the course, Andy Ringland, is going to be very pleased with driving standards in that, because I've seen quite a few races at Croft over the years. The first lap was exemplary. The first corner was exemplary for everybody, and the racing was really clean. And I can't tell you how many races we've had at Croft, televised or otherwise, where we've had safety cars, race stoppages to get cars back on. But, you know, there wasn't that. So a good result from you. And also that, although Dave's nicked a few more points off of you, you're still keeping him within sight at the moment.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I kind of, Dave's always the benchmark, so you just got to try and track where he is and hopefully not lose too many points each round. So, yeah, he's just so quick.
Well, nice one. Well done on 3rd place, and we'll see you for race 2. That's our 3rd place man on the podium there, Jack MacIntrye. We're going to go to 2nd position, the man who took pole position, and it is Rob Butler. Rob, P2. What happened when you lost the lead to Dave?
Oh, look, I knew he was coming. It's you know, there's no point in me trying to race a guy that deserves the prize at the end of it. You know, the guy races with respect and absolute class. So there's no point me pushing too hard, trying to defend from him. He was faster anyway. I was better off following him away and trying to break a gap. But Matt Richards kept me really, really honest at the start of the race, and I was trying to protect the front left tire a little bit, but yeah, look, it was he had more speed than me, and at race pace, not that much. I'm just looking at the time; it's about a 10.5. And
he didn't get too far away. I mean, if you look at the other races where, you know, in race 1 he's had a gap of, you know, 2.5, 3, maybe more seconds on the other drivers. He didn't get that, and that was despite you, as you rightly said, battling hard with the likes of Matt Richards, you know, in the earlier stages of that race. So you guys are getting closer to him all the time, I think.
Yeah, well, that's the aim, isn't it? You know, these guys are world-class sim racers, so if any day that I'm in between 2 of the best in the UK, I'll take it. So, you know, I lost a toe, and when I lost a toe, that was it. There's a massive advantage in a toe up the back. So,
yeah,
you know, it's 2 tenths, and at least. So once I lost that, I was kind of pushing my own air, and the guys could hang on. But look, as I said, they're both. Anybody at the front of this series is absolutely incredibly fast. So I'm just delighted to be in amongst it.
Well done, mate. Cracking drive. Well done on pole position as well earlier on, and we'll see you for race 2.
Thank you.
Rob Butler there, ladies and gents, who takes second position on the podium. And I'll tell you what, we are an hour and 10 minutes very nearly into the programme today, and we haven't yet spoken to the machine, the championship leader. But we're going to now. Dave Marshall, first win of the day, first chat of the day. Congratulations. You must be absolutely over the moon.
That's a bit of a relief, that one, to get the first race out of the way. Came into CROFT with just pure damage limitation for me, if I'm honest.
Why is that?
It's one of them tracks where it's so easy to get track limits. I don't know whether you've been told about the enforcement of first corner, and it's just not worth taking the risk to push hard enough that, you know, you'll end up losing 50 points or whatever you've got from that race. So just trying to respect track limits, and as Rob said, the tyres around here, for whatever reason, they're just going straight off. You're lucky if you're sort of 4 laps in and the tyres are still on. So it was quite crucial that I got past Rob and got the quick lap in early, because I don't think I would have done that lap time towards the end.
It was a great performance. And this, you know, like many of the drivers that we've been talking to today, I think this is the nearest track in the real world geographically for you. Is that right?
Yeah, I think half the grid's from up north, I think.
Apart from Damien Hall.
Yeah, it's a slight travel from. So it's just 40 minutes down the road, and I'm lucky enough that I have driven the track in real life before. But it's one of them tracks where it's so hard to be consistently quick every lap, especially at the Tower Bend. I don't know whether you've seen it on the programme, but it is so bumpy. So keeping that corner consistent every lap, you know, sometimes you can be 2/10 coming out that corner, sometimes you're a 10th down. It's just that's what happened in quali, if I'm honest. Went up 10th and a half going in and just lost all my time through the bumps. So, but very kind words said by Rob. Thanks very much for that. I think we played a smart start of the race. Didn't lose too much time with each other there. But, you know, there's a lot of weight in the car, and you know, going into sunny in, the cars just want to constantly over-rotate. So no, fair play to Rob, and both gave each other enough room.
Championship points wise, I think that takes you out to 3 races clear now. If we ignore the fastest laps, 164, I think I worked it out. That might be wrong. My maths isn't as good as it was. So I think you got 3 races in hand at the moment, and you know, possibly you might be able to wrap things up at Knock Hill if you carry on with the run that you've got. Not that I want to put the curse of the commentator on you, mate.
No, it's just a case of, I think, that the championship went out and win it, and at the moment you can get that many points in a single round. So the goal is to try and win every round of the championship. So 5 down to the 3 to go.
Superb. Well done, Dave Marshall. We'll catch you for race 2 coming up in a minute, and we won't put the pressure on you to do what you did at Snetterton last time out and come through from 10th to take the win. So Dave Marshall, our race winner. Congratulations to him, the championship leader.
Cheers, Richard. Thanks.
Thanks, mate. Well done. And we're looking forward to race 2. I didn't get that was an exciting race. And I didn't really get the chance to focus on the battle for what was going to be the provisional pole for race 2. Before we go on to race 2, though, I'm going to come back to James because I'm waffling on far too much. James, thoughts on driver of the race for race 1?
I don't know. I mean, part of me is wanting to say,
Jack MacIntrye.
Okay, go for Jack MacIntrye. I'm totally paying attention here. You know, I'll go with your choice because, yes.
I think because he started 6 and it was so difficult to overtake, but he just did a very workmanlike performance to move from 6th position on the grid against very good competition up into a very good podium position. I didn't think he was going to make the podium at one time, but he battled away and just took his chances when they came, which is what you've got to do around here. There is a temptation to say Dave Marshall for making a pass and getting fastest lap, but Jack Mac made progress where he could have maybe let things get to him otherwise.
So after consulting with people that know what they're doing and who were paying attention, I have to pick Mr. MacIntyre. Definitely driver of the day there. Good job. We're back. We're just getting ready for race 2 here, I think. We're getting on the grid. Yeah, that's a replay of race 1. No,
it is a reverse grid.
The graphics were flipping over there.
Yeah, we've got Tobin Lee on pole position in the pinky purple car, and Callum Newsham in the red and white Norscott car. Norscott Coffee, mention that.
Here we go,
Great.
lights on the screen. Can I take the start of this
Go
one?
on, mate, up you go.
Here we go. Lights, get ready as the lights go red light. We've got plenty of red lights here. And when they disappear, the cars get going, and bit of a delay, and it's go. They're off. Anybody gonna go for the dive bomb on the first corner? I'm not sure. Everyone's going nice and clean into that. Lee up front. Oh, nice. Lee's in there, first place. He's got through there. Oh, a bit of rough up tuffle there. Toth, Newsham, absolutely packed through there. Elliot, they're swapping over places a little bit. There's no cars off the road though. Nobody in the tires. Almost was. Oh, he's been punted there. I don't know if that's Williams that's gone off the road a bit there.
Josh Martin went off in green there.
Went off, and then we've got a battle up front here for Lee and Newsham. As Lee holds on to it, Newsham tries to go around the outside. He's looking at the curb in there, but he can't find a way through. We've got Smith going. We've got 2 cars off, Richard and Kidsley. Oh, we've got another car off at the bottom. I don't know if you caught the name of them.
That was Max Bird, I think.
Max Bird going off there.
You know what we were saying about driving standards being good in race 1? That's how we got.
They're like, right, race 1 was nice and clean. Let's go full on warfare mode through this. But you know, you've got to go for it. Lee's now calming down. He's getting a little bit of a gap there. Newsham in second. Toth-Jones in third, Elliot 4th, Smith 5th, Brennan 6th, MacIntrye 7th, Richard 8th, Kidsley 9th, Coates is in 10th, William in 11th, Marshall 12th, Butler 13th, Martin 14th, Hammerton 15th, O'Fair 16th. We go through all of them here. Merrill 17th, McCallum 18th, Press 19th, and Bridgeman 20th there as they come through the end of the first lap, and it's going to be almost like the first lap again as they go into T1. You know, I think Clearview's a nice warm-up for Hawthorn, and then Hawthorn's a warm-up for the chicane. And if you get through all 3 of those corners without any wheels coming off the vehicle, then it's a happy time. And it looks like, once again, most of the cars seem to have got through to T1. They're going through the chicane there, and that's it, nice and straight before your next, the Tower Bend, tight Tower Bend corner, where obviously if you go off-road, you're going to be going off-road for a long time through some farmers' fields. You might come across a tractor. But Lee seems to be pulling away, actually. And then we've got a gap from Elliot to Smith of a few tenths there. There's a pack developing. 2 packs. It's like the Tour de France here. Got a few pelotons there. Through that kink there, it's the Barcroft. You really have to be committed through that corner to, you know, just chuck the car in and get it through there. And it's a good opportunity for the cars behind you to catch up if you don't quite chuck it in and get it hooked up. I think Newsham and Toth-Jones are hustling. Toth-Jones just having a little peek there. Did you see that? He's a little nook to the left, and then behind him we've got MacIntyre and Brennan, I think, tussling away. Yeah, Jack MacIntyre's starting to make a little bit of progress again, isn't he? So he's dicing with Matt Richards, who he had a great battle with in race number 1. Richards looking up the inside. He's in the blue and white car. The red, white, blue 37 on the outside is Jack Mack, who gets the better run there and is teeing up the inside here. James, as they come down the straight, in the outside line, not too bad on that hairpin. If you can hold position down into Clervo, turn 1, which I think is what MacIntyre's done, he's got the position. There is Matt Richards in the number 4 car, still chasing. But as you said, Tobin Lee got a second clear ahead of Alex Toth-Jones at the moment in second place. Callum Newsham down to third. I think what's nice is you notice there with Toth-Jones going into T1 and then carrying on through those 3 corners. He's positioning his car. He's not necessarily taking the best racing line through there in terms of absolute speed, but he's positioning it so that Newsham's like just, I can't go to the right, can't go to the left, I can't do a dive bomb. You know, it's pure brick wall in front of him, and that's what you've got to do to hold on to the place with this. But saying that, Newsham's having another sniff, and then further back, halfway through the lap, everyone lights it up again. They're like, chill. For some reason, they're having a nice little holiday on T1, and then halfway through the lap, they all get excited and start going full-on attack mode again. I don't know if that's tradition at CROFT circuit with these minis, but it seems to be what's happening here in these races. They've not had too many meetings here in the real world, to be honest, because they, again, have been running mainly with the MSB tracks over the course of their campaigns they've had over the many seasons they've been going in various guises. Of course, we've got the Cooper S, the Cooper Pros, and the JCW 3 classes, which is a mini racing ladder, as we've mentioned on the programme many times. You can start off as Kim Economy
has done in the Cooper AM class, and then go into the Cooper S's, which he raced in last season, and then come into the JCWs as we ride on board with Isaac Smith looking back at the 98 car of Jordan Brennan. Jordan looking to try and get a second career podium, but he's down in 6th place.
Oh no, a little bit. He lifted to stabilise his car. Smith lifted, and the two cars behind are like, oh, and he had to react. Brennan had to react. MacIntyre had to react. It's like a domino effect of mini drivers trying to not punt each other, and then you've got the choice with them being front wheel drive. I hope that's correct. I haven't made a mistake there. Should be. You know, get on that throttle is the choice to like stabilise it, or you know, if you've got to keep the back of the car in line. So if you get on throttle, you might hit the car in front. So it's awkward to maintain that stability, not lose the time. You know, really nice though that they all got through that. A little bit of kissing, you know, a little bit of romantic manoeuvres, but that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it is indeed. We want it to be close. We want some exciting racing, which we've seen thus far. Tobin Lee has got the best flying lap, but that's been passed now by Jack MacIntyre, fastest lap, 1:28.7 for MacIntyre. This is a good response to the opening race by Dave Marshall, who's in 11th. This is round 1 form, really, for Dave Marshall. Remember Donington Park grabbed the opening race win and had 11th in race 2, and he's just, I think, thinking about damage limitation. That was the phrase that he used in the interview. Get the points when you can. Grab the win, grab the fastest lap, and now he's doing the same here. He won't be unhappy to take an 11th place slot here and maintain that championship lead that he's got in excess now of 150 points over the driver with fastest lap, Jack MacIntyre, who's in 7th place. So MacIntyre here at the moment will pick up 34 points, effectively 5th place points, running in 7th fastest lap. So he will just start to pull 11 points back at the moment on Dave Marshall. And in fact, he's in 7th place. Jordan Brennan in 6th, immediately ahead of him. Isaac Smith in 5th place. Tobin Lee still the leader.
Oh no, he's got it. I'm sure there's a nice bit of opposite lock inside of his cockpit there.
Do they do a virtual drifting championship, James?
There are virtual drift series. It's not something I follow, but the drifting, especially in the Assetto Corsa out of the driving simulators, is really well known for its drifting and allowing you to actually really, drive over the limit and handle the cars. And there is definitely a drift scene there, and obviously, again, that's picked up quite a lot recently with people not being able to do the real drifting. We've got MacIntyre and Brennan there just swapping positions, and we've got a car doing a spot of gardening in the background there. I'm not sure who that orange car is. It might be is it Martin in the orange car?
He's in the green Tom Williams, we think.
I don't. I feel like I'm colourblind here. I don't know.
Well, to be fair, we've had quite a few weeks with the cars to learn them. The first time in the
I need the names on top of the cars here to keep track of things. Oh, hang on. We've got a battle there between Newsham and Elliott coming through for T1. Who's going to come out in front? Look at this, side by side down the runway. They're not going to take off. Well, they might do if they hit into each other. No.
Ryan Elliott here in 4th place, James. He's looking to try and maintain a 100% record of taking a podium in every round so far. So if he can get past Callum Newsham and hang on to that 3rd place, then he'll be up on the podium again. So he's been a really, really consistent driver, Ryan Elliott.
That's the key thing, though, isn't it? I mean, you can sort of focus on things on a race-by-race basis, or who's won this, and but really, it's how can you get in that top 3 position consistently, and then over the course of a season, that's what it's about. It's that consistency through the race, consistency through the entirety of the league or the championship that you're running. So it really shows that he's bringing the talent to the table there.
Jack MacIntyre's only finished outside the top 6 twice, and every time he's been in the top 10. So his consistency has been good. But so too is that youngster Ryan Elliott. He was our first of our interviewees. Comes from Stockton-on-Tees, which is literally just down the road from here, and again, a lovely part of the world, and he is really piling the pressure on at the moment. Callum Newsham, who is in 3rd place, the white car with the red top. We're looking at the left-hand pane of the screen at the moment as they go into the hairpin again. Busy putting the pressure. Newsham also, of course, in the mix, trying to dislodge Alex Toth-Jones from 2nd position in the race. Tobin Lee is away. Toth-Jones with fastest lap now, 1:28.746. So Alex Toth-Jones, who again has been very consistent. He's had quite a few podium finishes, hasn't had the rub of the green to get him up onto the top step of the podium so far, but I don't think that'll be too far away. And now a new fastest lap. Dave Marshall, the machine, he's finding space on the track, He's into the top 10 once again. 128.6 for the machine.
He's just had some new firmware uploaded for race number 2. That's it. He's dialed in now. He's got
the IP addresses of all the other drivers, and he's firing lag down to their IPs.
Them all. Watch out! He's worked out he's applying new techniques to the sim racing scene. You've got to be careful. Look at this, nice, absolutely nice. It's really nice how you see the cars fly around the corner. I mean, the physics in the set, of course, are absolutely superb. Like, you really see the momentum and the mass of the vehicles. I mean, what always blows my mind with simulators is you have to remember this isn't happening at all. This is ones and zeros on some sand in a computer. You know, on pixels that are being illuminated. It's like crazy mathematics. It's not happening, but here we have cars that look exactly like real-world minis, with people driving real-world minis with wheels that respond like real cars. It's like, in my mind, as far as like contemporary modern art goes, sim racing, it's pretty incredible what you end up with, something that looks like real life from something that is literally sand with electricity running through it.
It is an incredible achievement, isn't it? And you know, the non-digital side, the people organisation of this as well, and you won't have heard me say this, but the regular viewers will be cheesed off with me saying it again. The work that goes in behind the scenes, you know, in terms of the paperwork that we get through, the phone calls, the organisation, is actually better than many real-world championships that we've had.
You're in trouble now.
No, it is. You know, our speakers are fine, and they have, the guys have done. You know, Rich Hayden, championship director. You know, Mike, our director, in terms of the vision today. Max Coates getting all the information out, the drivers. It's been better than real world champion. It really has. You know, we could not fault what they've done at all. It's been really, really good. Looking back from Callum Newsham, so Newsham in P3, and you can see he's got that little bit of breathing space at the minute over Ryan Elliott. So Ryan's going to have to do a little bit more work here to A, close in, and B, find a chink in the armour after man currently in third place. So Callum Newsham, this is interesting territory here. Either way, if Callum Newsham gets a podium, the story is that it's Callum's first podium in the e-racing series. And of course, if Ryan Elliott gets the podium, he's maintaining his 100% record of getting a podium at each event. So either way, we've got a little bit of history and story going on. Isaac Smith's closing up, Jack Mack is closing up, Jordan Brennan is closing up as well, and it's Form a Q for fourth position at the moment, and Elliott is the man under pressure. But, and James, you won't know this, but Elliott is the master defender. He has been so good at defending all the previous rounds. Very rarely gets frustrated or flustered, and what we've seen about him is that he defends well, but he maintains really good speed and good lap times. Now, how difficult is that to do in the sim environment?
Well, I think the thing with the sim is that, I mean, if you've got a VR headset, I'm not sure if he's one of the drivers using the VR headset, you do get that nice awareness with the VR headset, because, well, he's got a little bit of slip there.
Yeah, he did.
With the VR headset, when you look into the mirrors, you know, you get the real world aspect of when you move your head to look in the mirrors, you can see the cars behind you, and so it's a lot more natural. But if you're playing on a single screen, especially, to know where the other cars are around you. Now, there are apps for games like Assetto Corsa Competizione that show where the other drivers are loosely, but it can be hard to know exactly where people are. We've just got a bit of a little bit of a tuffle there again. Is that Smith and MacIntyre? Whoa! They're all over the place. Watch out!
Gave him a touring car knock.
It's like a flock of dinosaurs being chased by a T-Rex. What's going on? Oh, he's going to up the nose, up the inside. He's pushing his way through. Smith! Elliott! No,
Smith's there. He's got the inside as they come into the hairpin here. Yeah,
he's getting it through. Come on!
MacIntyre on the outside line. Jordan Brennan in the mix. Max Coates there as well as they go on to the
main straight. So, yes. So the visibility, if you've got the headset, helps. But if you're on a monitor, it can be really hard to get that right. And as you say, the crucial thing is defending without losing too much time, because you can defend and lose a lot of time, but you know you want to defend and not have the guys in front pass away. As we see Hall, I think, just passing Press there at the back of the grid. Still, you know, they're at the back, but you still got to fight. You got to keep going.
Yeah,
nice
Kenny.
Little movements, they're all over the place.
It was Kenny Press. We haven't had a chance to talk to Kenny yet, but he's been doing a lot of the liveries and graphics for this championship. Obviously, James mentioned how great the graphics were in here. 27th in the championship, Kenny Press at the moment. Damien Hall 19th, so gives you a perspective of how they are in terms of the battle. But still, Tobin Lee out front from Alex Toth-Jones in P2. Callum Newsham now has got 9 tenths over Ryan Elliott, 4 tenths ahead of Isaac Smith, who was having that big battle as described by James there with Jack MacIntyre.
Again.
They are, yeah, and looking down the outside line.
The goats. Oh, it's hard to tell who's going to come out in front. It's just a bit of argy-bargy, and then you've got the corner followed by another. This track is just corner after corner after corner, especially on the follow-throughs. So it's hard to tell. It's not like those modern Formula 1 tracks where it's like, all right, we've got one corner, who's got the pass? Let's wait half an hour for the next one. It's literally right, corner, move, and then you've got to get. Oh! That's not allowed. A little bit of a. He got away with it.
No, it was Dave Marshall giving him a little tap.
Yeah, it was more romance. He's got candles on his dash.
Was that a little bit? Now is that the driver's book of excuses that we have in the real world? We've now got an e-racing version.
It was lag.
And that was lag. You've heard it, haven't you?
My wheel stopped working. Forced me back. Stop. Windows update. Lag. Oh, there's lots of them.
The point is, though, that, and the clerk of the course will bear this out, is that even a mechanical failure, even if it's not your fault, if it is the mechanics of the car, you're still going to get a penalty if the clerk deems it so. But I'm not sure whether Dave Marshall's going to get a few points for that. He's having a good go. I tell you what, considering he was talking about damaged limitation, he wasn't limiting damage on the back of Max Stone's rear end, was he?
Why is he so angry? He's going for it. What's lit him up here? What's happened? It's like there's a bee in his cockpit and he's gone, right, that's it.
It's a single point at stake there.
Well, you got to fight for it. I think it's good. That's if I'm racing, I think if anyone's racing, you got to go for it all the time. That's the fun of it. Attack. But he's you can see him even when he's just following behind. He's having a little look down the side, and the car in front obviously can see the car behind just like moving in his mirror, and that all adds to the sort of psychological gamesmanship there. You're just putting that pressure on, being as irritating as possible. And now he's going around the outside. I honestly don't think you can get enough speed around the outside of that final corner to then get the run down the straight. I think you really do have to go up the inside, but then the first corner you have to be on the inside. So yeah, it's hard to get it because I don't think you get that much draft with these cars on this circuit either. So yeah, I'm not quite sure where the best overtake opportunities are on this track. Seems like every corner's a chance.
Well, still Tobin Lee out front. We haven't seen very much of Tobin here. He's going to be complaining about well, he doesn't complain, but he would have every right to say we haven't actually had a look at what he's been doing in this one because he's out front. We rightly focus on the battles that are going on, which are there's Tobin, right of shot, Tobin Lee out front. Second position is Alex Toth-Jones with Callum Newsham in third, and Newsham trying to take the battle as well. Newsham's just set a best lap of the race for him, a 1:28.7. So Newsham's car, far from the tyres going off, he's finding extra speed, which is good, and he's challenging for P2 here. Not content with getting 1 foot on the podium, he wants to get on the next step up, so he's putting pressure on. That's the battle behind the pink car. Yeah, having a good go, isn't he?
A bit of a lift there. As they might say, cocking the wheels there when you getting the wheels off in the air there with the minis. Because you don't always need all 4 wheels on the track. If you hit the curb, if you've got the line, you can pull it away on 2 wheels. Why not pretend you're driving a motorbike? I mean, if it's not slow, and you're in control of the car, it doesn't matter how many wheels you've got on the ground.
Certainly in some places, if you're not raising at least 1 wheel, then they reckon you're not committed enough. And some of the clerks of the course will go to drivers' briefings and say, if you don't get a warning for track limits at least once, then you're not trying. We expect you to get a warning, but then once you've had the warning, you've got to stop, realise that you've had the limit, and stay there. But this is a fascinating battle now for second base. Callum Newsham definitely wants to win here if he can get past the second place man Alex Toth-Jones, and this is a nice little race that we're looking at on the right hand screen as they go down the back straight, which you can see isn't necessarily that straight. Nicely trimmed hedge there as ever by the BARC as they go through Tower Corner again.
He's going for it again round the outside, lock up from the car in front, and behind them there's
Jack Mack.
Yeah, getting in there, getting in the mix. He still can't find a way through, and as a result of their battling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars trundling behind. It's a bit of a jam there. It's like the commute before the Dartford crossing. Someone's parked a car in the tunnel.
Are you from that bit of the world, mate?
I'm in Kent at the moment, yes, but I've lived in Middlesbrough. I've lived near Newcastle. I've been all over the place. So I'm familiar with all the traffic jams across the entirety of the year.
Not a nice experience, is it? Dartford crossing, not good at all.
It's amazing at Christmas. It's the best time to be there. But absolutely great seeing all these cars still bunched together. And he's going again. Who's that? Is that Coates having a poke at?
Let's have a look. Coates at the back of that group. He's having a look. Matt Richards right behind him as well.
Brennan in 7th there.
Yeah, we're ticking down on this one. Remember, no reverse grid race after this.
What
We
is
go
it,
straight
26
to qualifying.
seconds left in this. I thought there was another few minutes to go.
No, it's gone quick, isn't it?
Here.
It has gone quick. So into the closing stages, it looks like Tobin Lee is going to grab yet another win in this run, the reverse grid
Cursing him
win.
now. His car, he was going to flip his car somehow. Spontaneously combust.
I should say yet another podium, because he's only had the one win so far, which was reverse grid race 2 in the first round of the year. But he's had plenty of other podia, and he's out front. But Callum Newsham, the story here, Callum Newsham, not content with the podium, challenging for P2 as well. It's been a good race from the Scotsman, currently based down in Southampton for his studies, and I think it's going to be third position for him. But still fastest lap with Dave Marshall. We're not expecting to see that improve. Nobody on their last lap putting in a fastest lap in this one for our second race of the day. But look at this gunfight that we've got here! Big sideways moment there for Jordan Brennan in the 98, still up ahead of Matt Richards and Max Coates, then Dave Marshall. Marshall up ahead of Coates now momentarily, gets his nose in front. Here they come, side by side, down towards the complex, and Marshall, if he can hang on to it, will grab the inside line here. Superb move by Marshall, and look at Rob Butler coming through as well. But Coates has got the inside line as they go into the hairpin. Coates reads that well. Didn't read the bit with Dave Marshall necessarily that well. Marshall, bit of genius for him there as they go on to the last lap. But Coates really responded to the challenge from Rob Butler as they came into the complex. And that leaves Coates in 10th, Rob Butler 11th, Luke Kidsley trying to close in on them. But on the last lap, it's Tobin Lee out front, 4th, Alex Toth-Jones. Going to be good to welcome Alex Toth-Jones back to the podium again. And Callum Newsham will be in 3rd place. Fascinating race we've had once again. And we have to once again think about who's going to be driving the race. I will try and leave that to James this time.
I think we've got some ideas here.
Nice one, mate.
Look at that fun little pass there, little lock up. Is that Richard and Brennan?
It is, yeah.
Poking on through there.
Jordan Brennan is.
I'm saying poking on through. I don't know. I'm obsessed with these guys poking on through, but you have to just get the nose in front and then hope that they can stick there. I can't think of a better term. I need to build up a commentator's dictionary here. We're a bit short of words.
Right to screen, we've got Alex Toth-Jones sniffing all over the rear end in the nicest possible way of Tobin Lee coming up into the complex for the last time. Effectively the battle for the lead and indeed the race win. Into the complex, closing right up. Now is there going to be a gap on the inside? Tobin's got it covered. ATJ goes wide. He's going to try and get a run down the inside line out of the hairpin and down to the checker, which is being virtually prepared here as they come across the line. It's going to be Tobin Lee that takes it. Alex Toth-Jones, great fight from him right the way to the end. Callum Newsham completes the podium, first podium for Callum, and betters his best result of 4th place last time out at Snet. Well done, Callum Newsham. Dave's going to be jumping up and down. There is Isaac Smith in the 1-2-3 car who's going to come through. Has come through for 5th position. What a race, another cracker, and they'll go down on their slowing down lap. But great to see Tobin Lee picking up another win. He said he likes the reverse grid races because I guess in some ways takes a little bit of pressure off if you're given that. There's Kim Economy going through in the 21. We're going to be having a look at him in the second part of our programme as a featured driver. So your top 10, Tobin Lee takes the win, Alex Toth-Jones 2nd, Callum Newsham in 3rd place from Ryan Elliott, Isaac Smith, Jack Mack rounds off the top half dozen. Then it was Jordan Brennan in 7th position, 8th going to Matt Richards, 9th position was Dave Marshall. So a quiet-ish race, but we did see the contact on Max Coates, and Coatesy coming home in 10th, and we'll be looking for a local to him podium next time out in the second half of the meeting, which replicates the positions that we've had so far. Just having a quick look down the order. Kim Economy got 19th place, I think, if we're thinking driver of the race, possibly Kim Economy, because he had an 18th position as well. So, but Keir showing some decent form there. Damien Hall's had a top 10, so it wasn't quite near his, and Thomas O'Farrell in 18th position. His best results are 13th, but one of his better results, Thomas O'Farrell. Anyway, James is going to think about who driver the race is, and we are going to go onto the podium. And a big pleasure to welcome to the podium for the very first time, Callum Newsham. Well done.
Thank you. Better late than never, right?
You're getting stronger and stronger. You know, we've seen the COVID graph of cases and deaths going down, but the results for you are going further and further up, which is great to see. And how much confidence did you bring from Snetterton last week with that 4th position?
Yeah, well, my pace in qualifying hasn't been still not very good, but I think that my race pace is definitely better than my qualifying pace. That's how I can get the reverse grid, and then I can stay up front from there.
So I'm guessing Mum and Dad jumping up and down with joy. You won't know until the break, will you? What they'll be thinking?
I don't know yet. So I'm sure they'll be pretty happy for me.
Callum, we need you to repeat this in the real world JCW Championship now, and we're very much looking forward to that. It's not long to go, is it?
How long? I think start of August.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can repeat it.
Have you had any prep yet in terms of any testing?
Well, yeah, I was testing yesterday and the day before yesterday.
Whereabouts?
I was at Donington and Brands Hatch.
Okay, Donington, of course, is the first venue, isn't it? And are you doing the tyre test as well at Snet?
Yeah, hopefully I can do the tyre test, yeah.
Okay, I'll hopefully get to see you there. And is all well with you run under the awning? You've got LDR on the car, which is Lawrence Davey Racing. I know your dad sort of spanners the car and looks after it for you. Are you still running with Lawrence this year?
Yeah, we're still running with Lawrence this year. My dad's still running my car for me.
That's cool. And is Lawrence and your mum and dad and Lawrence Davey and Marta, they're all well? I'm doing the social check-up here because I haven't seen them. They're all okay?
Yeah, they're all fine. I saw them yesterday, so they're all good.
Nice one. Great drive from you in that one, and you weren't content with the podium. You were pressing on to challenge for second. So well done, and we'll see you later on in the meeting.
Cheers, thank you.
Callum Newsham finishing in 3rd place, and a big welcome back to the podium. MSL Motorsport Consultancy, one of our very valued partners in terms of the sponsorship of this championship. And their driver, Alex Toth-Jones, takes P2 and again was challenging hard in those closing stages to try and get the win away from Tobin Lee. Alex, well done. Welcome back to the podium. Tell us a bit about your race.
Thank you. That was tough. I had a lot of pressure from Callum from behind and made a few mistakes which let Tobin get away, but we had really, really good race pace there, and at the end just managed to close in but ran out of laps. But no, I had the heart rate going a few times through that one.
And it is hard work, isn't it? And this particular track, I think, is this a local track for you as well?
I class it as local, North York.
You're Bradford, aren't you?
Yeah.
Is there a nearer real world track for you from there?
It's quite similar. I've got here, Alton Park and Donington are all about an hour and a half, an hour and 40 away from it. So I've got many locals.
I've got to admit, I prefer, if you were going to do a comparison, I prefer Croft to Alton Park. I don't know why. Alton Park's lovely and picturesque and everything else, but I just think that the racing is better here at Croft.
Yeah, I have a soft spot for Alton Park. I don't know why, I just seem to go quite well around there. Not done many races around Croft in real life, so.
Well, you've gone well here today.
Yeah, it's a bit bumpier on the sim than it is in real life.
Right.
But
Yeah, a couple of drivers have been saying that. Well done on P2, and hopefully we'll see you on the podium again a little bit later on in the meeting. Well done. That's Alex Toth-Jones in P2. And our winner, second win of the campaign, the 55 car, Tobin Lee. Welcome back to the top step of the podium, Tobin. Tell us about your race.
Thank you. It's good to be back, and yeah, it's been a really quite a tough race today. I've got my work set out for me this week in particular, because the beauty of sim racing is you can have races going on all over the place. You're not limited by geography. And later on today, I'm also partnering with Jensen Button in a 12-hour Silverstone race. And so my practice has been massively I've had to split it, which has been a big challenge to prepare. So whilst my pace probably hasn't been as strong as what it has been, I've been able to use the strategy to take advantage of the reverse grid wins, and I managed to pull it off, which I'm really, really happy about.
Well, that's good. What's the other circuit you're racing on, by the way?
Silverstone.
So yeah, you've got to sort of try and get your mindset into one or the other, haven't you? Which a real world, that's a very much a virtual racing problem, isn't it? Or a simulated problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's whilst this series is on Assetto Corsa, the other one is on Assetto Corsa Competizione, which has different fundamental driving techniques that you need to be able to master and everything. So yeah, the challenge is brilliant, and I really enjoy it.
Oh, that's good, and you pulled a few points back on Jack Mack in that one as well. So the battle for the the championship, you're still very much in the top three, and anything could happen as we come to the second half of the meeting here and then go to Knockhill and Brands Hatch. So well done for keeping the championship alive for us. A great drive.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done, Toby and Lee. I'm not sure if we've got anybody else in the virtual one with us. Not our feature drivers. No, we haven't. I don't think so. Toby and Lee, our race winner there. Congratulations to him on winning race 2. Alex Toth-Jones in second. Callum Newsham in third. Ryan Elliott just shy of that podium, which you'll be keen to do again in races 3 and 4. Isaac Smith next up from Jack MacIntyre. It was Jordan Brennan, Callum Newsham's teammate. Matt Richards in 8th position. 9th was Dave Marshall, championship leader, and Max Coates in 10th. Of course, all the results provisional until the clerk of the course had a look at all of the footage and any comments that have come through from the drivers. So, closing thoughts on race 2, and who was driver of the day, James?
Okay, so I've been running through the math here and thinking through this, very important decision here. But I really enjoyed the battle between Marshall and Coates, and just to spite Max here, I did want to give it to Marshall just to annoy Max a bit, But I'm going to have to say, I think like you pointed out, Toby Lee with the getting the high points position for him and a really good result. So it's going to have to go to Toby there. Sorry, not Toby Lee. That's who we were just talking to. Sorry, Thomas O'Farrell. What am I saying? Yeah, Thomas O'Farrell is the guy. Sorry there.
Nice one. That's a good call. Tom O'Farrell. He comes from Ireland, one of the far-flung Scottish islands. So he's one of our virtual travellers, shall we say, in this one. So Tom O'Farrell, great choice, James. Well done. Thank you for that. We're going to go into our break. We've got just over 10 minutes, which appropriately is the length of the video. An interview with Max Bird. We caught up with Max in the week. So from James West, Gamer Muscle Man himself, and myself, Richard John Neal, have a good 10-minute break. We'll be back with qualifying 2 for you in around about just under a quarter of an hour.
Hello and welcome to our very latest chat with our official mini challenge e-racing drivers. Max Bird, welcome along. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Just been testing on my new rig, as you can probably see behind me. Just bought some screens and the seat out of my actual mini racing car as well, and some new pedals and stuff. So yeah, I've been trying that out this afternoon.
Oh, tell us what you've got.
So I've got, the seat out of my racing car, and then I've got some Acer 24-inch screens, and then running a Thrustmaster steering wheel with, I think it's Husenfeld pedals, which are compared to what I had, so much more realistic, and I've been finding it hard as well because I've been doing a few test days in the real thing. Coming back to the old pedals I had, it was just so hard to sort of gauge locking up in the braking zone. So I think these ones have helped me a lot.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that's good to hear. Obviously, we'll watch out for how you do this coming weekend, which is the CROFT configuration. I thought it would be good, as we've done with other drivers, to talk a little bit about your backstory. And you started in karting with local and then national. So fill us in about your successes and experiences in that.
Yeah, so I started sort of club racing in obviously cadets. So I did sort of Forest Edge, Shennington, Wilton Mill. And then as I sort of grew up, experienced and things, I went to, PFI and did Super 1 for a couple of years I think I did a couple of years in cadets, yeah. And then I moved up to sort of, mini max, junior max. I never quite made senior road tax because I sort of moved then from juniors into Genettas. But yeah, so I did the mini max for about 2 years and the same in juniors. And then obviously just slowly progressed into what I am now. But obviously I think that's where I've learned most of my racecraft and, the main aspects of being a fast racing driver, I guess. Obviously it's not exactly comparable, but you learn and sort of it gives you experience, I guess.
Where did the interest for motor racing come from originally?
So I think when I was about 6, my dad bought me a go-kart, so it was a cadet obviously, but he was racing himself in sort of 24-hour go-kart races, and he used to do sprint races around Goodwood, which is where we live. Well, we live near to Goodwood. So I think that's where the initial sort of passion for it came, because obviously I was always watching him, and then he bought me my own sort of go-kart, and I guess I just took it from there, really. I think he's probably regretting that moment.
Yeah, a lot of sons say that, but the dads love it, and they stay involved. Parents love to see their offspring getting out and racing, and particularly, I guess, making the move into car racing. And you've already mentioned you had a go in Ginetta Junior, and then moving up into the GT5 Challenge, both of which you did very well, and they are fiercely competitive championships again, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously I did Ginetta Juniors for about 6 rounds, I believe. That was purely because we couldn't get the best out of the car, and I was finding it difficult because like the competition was so hard that year, and you know, I'd had good results and I'd had rookie podiums or whatever, but I felt like maybe I came into it slightly too late. So we thought, you know, we'll sort of finish it mid-season, save some money, and then go testing for GT5 the following year, which actually worked out quite well. Obviously then I sort of hit the ground running for that season of GT5, which I sort of enjoyed the car more. Obviously it's the same sort of car, but you know, slick tyres, more horsepower, and to be fair, the power to weight ratio of it is actually fairly decent. I mean, it's actually not that far from my Mini. I think it's about 4 or 5 seconds a lap. So yeah, I think for me, that was up there with the best cars I've driven, just down to the fact of, I think, the power to weight ratio, really.
And you're a race-winning driver in Ginetta?
In GT5, yeah, I think I won about 4 or 5, and then other podiums as well. It's just a shame because I think 2 years running I came 4th by like 10 points or something, which is annoying. But yeah, I guess things happen, really.
Well, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. I'd say that's a pretty good result, and it means that whatever you do, you're there or thereabouts. And brings us on to Mini Challenge, which you had a go at last year, your first year. Tell us about that first season and how you found the whole package and the racing and the competition.
I mean, from when I jumped into the Mini the first day, I felt it was awful, and you know, obviously I enjoyed it, but I was thinking, how am I going to drive this? Because obviously I'd gone from rear-wheel drive to front-wheel drive. And that's all I'd ever known was the rear-wheel drive, and I was thinking, I don't know what to do, you know. So we had to get a couple of instructors, and I think it was Chris Hodgetts. I don't know if you know Chris Hodgetts.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I think we had him a couple of times and some other people just to sort of give me some ideas of, you know, how to drive the car, getting it out of the corners, all that sort of thing. And also last year we had a bit of an issue with sort of breaking drive shafts. I don't know whether that was down to technique or just lack of luck, and then also I think at the first round I was having a really good race in the second one after having a top 5 in the first race, my first ever race in the Mini Challenge, and we had this issue. There's a box between, I think, just before the fuel tank that controls like volts or something, or current going into it or something like that to the fuel pump, and that sort of burnt out. So obviously I'm going down the straight at Alton Park and just lose complete power because obviously there's no fuel being pumped around the car. So yeah, we had that quite a few times in the season actually, I think about 4 or 5 times. So I think in the end we ended up with about 6 DNFs, which wasn't ideal, but a few test days we've done so far this year look very promising.
And obviously, before we get on to talking about this year's moves, we've got the e-racing championship, which you're taking part. What was it drew you to that? Because, you know, we've got some extremely good sim races in it, and some very good competitive, like yourself, real world drivers as well. Were you getting a bit stir crazy and fancied a run?
You know, to do with lockdown and stuff, I was getting to the point where, well, at the start of lockdown, I didn't even have a simulator, so I bought a cheap one to start with, just have a go, and then I saw the Mini series coming up, and you know, I thought I might as well get involved with it because obviously I'm racing in the Mini Challenge, so it meant I could sort of scope out my competitors, I guess. But yeah, no, I really been enjoying it. It is very hard. Obviously, the sim guys tend to be the quicker ones, and they're like aliens, really. They're so fast on some of the tracks. Or, you know, for example, I think it's Dave Marshall he's winning the championship at the minute, and he's just so fast and so consistent. It's so hard to keep up with them. But I guess over the few weeks I've been improving and getting used to it and learning more of the sim driver's way to drive. And yeah, I think we're really getting there.
That's interesting to get your perspective. I didn't realise that you were that new to it. So I think what you've done there for is very, very good. And it does keep you in a little bit of seat time for this coming season. And as we can see from your branded racewear, you're now with Elite Motorsport.
Yeah, so last year we were with Lawrence Davey Racing. And yeah, it was nothing against him. We just decided to move teams and sort of try a new team. Obviously, they're new to Mini Challenge, so Eddie's brought in a couple of guys who've run minis before. I think they won the championship a couple of times. So yeah, it's working out really well. And obviously, I'm teammates with Lewis Scaler and Max Coates. Obviously, Max done a lot of front-wheel drive stuff before, so I think he knows his way around the car. And obviously, Lewis, very fast driver. Bit less experience than us, but that's nothing against him really.
And you were out having a test recently. How did that go?
Yeah, so we were at Snetterton a couple of days ago. Obviously, it's very hard to compare times, but compared to last year and myself, I was considerably faster. Obviously, we don't know what race pace will be there this year, but I believe that confidently, I think we'll be in the top 4 or 5 easily. I'm very quick, with qualifying and testing. I just need to sort of improve, I'd say, a little bit just on race consistency. Obviously, in Genetics, I found that very easy because I had the experience, and it was my second year. I got all the podiums and stuff because I was used to being at the front, which I think, this year could be the year. I got that experience from last year. The pressure's maybe, in a way, off a little bit more because I've got the pace. I'm not pushing too hard. And yeah, I think that we could be quite successful this year.
You must be excited as well to be being seen again on the British Touring Car Championship package. And talk us through the people who are involved, because you've got a number of names on the car. Who helps you out? Who do you work with in terms of marketing on the car?
I mean, so there's a huge list really. So obviously the main one on my car is Bluebird Developments, which starts from my dad's company. Then I've got several, so I've got Game Set and Match, who supply me with clothing and all that sort of stuff. Core Results, I've got Goodwood Health Club, I have got Book My Garage, and then I've been working a lot with Aspire Motorsport, Aspire Sports, and that's basically David, who helps me with sort of mind coaching and keeping myself calm, ideas to try and bring out the best in me. And because I think the time's normally in the driver. I mean, obviously the car's got to be relatively good, but I think what I've realised in the past probably 18 months is that if the driver's not right, the car's not going to go anywhere. So, I guess vice versa really. But yeah, I've been working on myself as much as I can, fitness, mentally, because I think without that, I'm not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, you have to prepare hard in any sport. And, looking at the running now to the season that's about to start, any more testing dates booked in?
I think we're doing the tyre test on the 9th of July, the Goodyear tyre test. Right. I think we're trying to keep my low down now so my competitors don't know my pace. But yeah, I think we'll be doing that just, so we can see and compare ourselves, to see what everyone else is doing really.
Okay, and thoughts going back to what we're here for, really talk about the e-racing series. Any thoughts about what you'd like to achieve over the remaining couple of rounds?
I'd like to get myself into the top 5 of the real world drivers. That was my aim sort of midway through, from now really, because I think my pace is getting there. And as I showed last week at Snetterton, I can finish and drive in the top 4. I think it just comes down to sort of that first few laps of, whether it's luck or whether you make a good start or not, because after that, I think it's quite hard unless you're a lot faster to catch up. So, yeah, I'd like to say by the end of it that I came in the top 5 with the real world drivers. But yeah, I mean, I can try my best. That's all I can do, really.
Well, Max, thanks very much for taking the time to chat to us today. We wish you and your family well. Look forward to seeing how things progress with the Mini Challenge E-Series. And of course, looking forward to seeing you in the paddock with the JCW Mini Challenge. Thanks for joining us.
Cool, thank you very much.
Welcome back to the official Mini Challenge eSeries with Virtual Reality Racing Club, and this the anti-penultimate round of the championship RJN with James West, Game of Muscle. James, what's the tea business on your handles and monikers? What's all that about?
What the
tea drinking?
The tea making. Yeah, we were just talking about this in the little break there. Obviously, specific brands are better than others. Oh, I can't say any specific names here because you can,
but you just have to say other ones are available.
Oh, okay. Well, obviously, Twinings is the best tea brand. Twinings, please sponsor me. But on a pinch, Lidl's Gold Blend is pretty decent. But I think you were saying Sainsbury's.
Red Label. I think the missus has got Sainsbury's Red Label. I think it's
Yeah, and as long as it's not PG Tips, that's fine.
We used to have a PG tip when we did Clio Cup because my co-commentator was Phil Blue, so we used to have a PG, as in Phil Blue, tip for each race. So maybe we shouldn't have done that.
No, that's all right. That's okay. As long as you're not drinking it. No, tea's better than coffee, though. All tea's better than coffee.
Hey, you can't say that. We've got the Newshams. We've got the North Scott vending machine.
Well, apart from that coffee brand, which of course is fantastic. Please send me some coffee in the post. But it looks like we're getting back on there. We've got qualifying 2. So you've got the normal grid, and then it's reverse grid, and you go from the second lot of race. Well, race 3 and 4, you do another qualifying session, and it all resets basically.
Yeah, second meeting of the meeting.
Second meeting of the meeting. It's like a Lord of the Rings quadrilogy, not even a trilogy.
Oh, do you know what? That's the one film or one set of films I haven't seen. I've tried to watch them, but I always fall asleep.
Yeah, you've got to watch the director's cut though.
Right.
But you don't watch The Hobbit. I mean, if you can get through that without falling asleep, that's a miracle. But Lord of the Rings.
Is that where the tea comes in? Because it's got presumably not Twinings decaffeinated. You have your caffeine to keep your way through certain films.
That probably helps. But director's cut Lord of the Rings, you're sorted. You get to look at the New Zealand countryside. Even if you don't know what's going on in the film, you get to look at the countryside, and that's the most important part of films. As I said earlier with racetracks, the amount of grass and the countryside surrounding the track is almost as important as the racetrack itself. I think a lot of people probably disagree with me, but I'm going to go committed with it. As we've got a car just parked there. I'm not sure what he's doing.
James Merrill's, I think.
It's maybe he's getting some observation of how the other drivers are taking that corner there.
Could well be.
So have you had a chance to drive around this circuit in the simulator yourself?
No, I haven't actually. I need to do that because my son's got a kit, such as it is. But no, I haven't driven it on the sim. I've driven it for real life, and I've walked it many times, like I said in the build-up, but not actually driven it yet.
Well, we need to do an exchange. I mean, I've been to the circuit in real life. I've not driven it around the circuit in real life. So, but obviously I've driven it in the simulator. So, it's the crossing of new and old.
Yeah, I definitely need to get. The one thing I haven't done is a lot of sim stuff, and I get on it, and I've got a 14-year-old who's next door. And by the way, he was actually in awe when I said that you were commentating with us today because he knew of you, which is like.
Oh dear, I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
I probably damaged him.
No. The good thing is that I'm down with the kids now, so we're saying about this big age difference, but suddenly it's got a little bit of credibility. The only other time that has happened in my life in racing was when we were at Rockingham Motor Speedway, and we used to have gigs as well. You have music and racing, so you'd have the racing all through the day, the afternoon. Get to the end of the afternoon, racing finishes, we have a gig, and we had 50 Cent there. And so that was the time when I was doing a lot of work in schools and stuff like that. So I'd go into schools and they'd say, "What have you done that's interesting?" So I met 50 Cent. And they go, "No, you haven't," especially in South London. But so that was a little bit of cred, having 50 Cent down there. But lost a lot of money on that event, apparently, the organisers, because nobody went to watch.
But they weren't interested in 50 Cent?
Yeah, well, a few people went to see 50 Cent, but not many people went to watch the racing. Wrong sort of audience, really.
Not the correct mix. I mean, which would be the rapper or singer to actually bring? Who would have the crossover between the two different audiences? I mean, I don't know who I'd pick off the top of my head. Like, quite separate worlds.
They are, aren't
Maybe
they? Really.
Rock music.
There's a few rockers that race. I mean, the likes of Chris Rea does a bit of racing, and trying to think who else. Status Quo's.
Oh, Chemical Brothers, obviously.
Oh, Chemical Brothers, yeah.
Get them in, sorted. Like, anyone would go to Chemical Brothers. Everyone likes. I mean, Chemical Brothers are amazing.
We were watching Maxi Jazz last night on the Glastonbury highlights. He did a bit of Fiesta racing.
didn't see that.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't have a TV. I honestly don't have a TV. That's it. I'm on YouTube, and you know, if you're doing the YouTube live streaming thing, you're literally just live streaming and YouTubing all the time.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh no, I do watch the Netflix. You know, you got to put the Netflix on. That's about it really. But yeah, no real TV. I've moved away from that, unfortunately. I say unfortunately. It's probably a good thing, but.
You're missing all the reruns of the early 1980s episodes of EastEnders.
Oh and, no, I forgot about the whole rerun thing that's going on at the moment because I can't make anything fresh at this point in time.
Or the reruns of Miss Marple or Minder.
Oh dear. Well, look at this. Look at this. Marshall is back up top already. 10. 0.148 gap.
Yep.
He's just. Someone needs to put some ballast in his car. I mean, what can be done to slow him down?
There were conversations, and they weren't official conversations by any stretch, but it was, you know, someone said, you know, should we put ballast in the regulations earlier on? But I think what might have changed it is the fastest lap pole position points might have brought things a little bit closer, but he would still be winning the championship. So he would still. But there's James Merrill's had his picnic. He's back on.
He finished his sandwich. Well, I mean, the thing is, you get the qualifying. I mean, to be fair, Marshall did pull away in the races as well. But for the most part, the racing has been close. And I think the great thing with ballast is it's like, well, you know, it does draw things closer together. But then you don't want it so that it feels artificial. So if you don't have to have the ballast, and you know, it's just a more sort of organic and natural racing. And you know, as you saw with the actual races here, for the most of the field. It really isn't needed, but Marshall definitely needs a few lumps of lead sellotaped underneath his seat, I think.
Yeah, ties and behind his back. Max Bird keeping everybody's way.
He could just be dragging the lead behind the vehicle would do the trick.
I didn't mention the prize, James. That the top there's basically two classes as you saw from the graphics that we had at the start of the show, and the real world drivers will get a VRRC sim. Oh, look at that! Mike's put a picture up. That's a good prize, isn't it?
So like obviously with me having my foot in the sim racing world, so the sim rig there, like the T-slot based sim rig, and what's awesome with them is that they're absolutely rock solid, and so obviously because of the lack of G-forces in a simulator compared to real life, you really have to depend on the steering wheel forces, and you really want to get that precise information from it. So having that completely rock solid rig means that it's not moving about from the force feedback of the wheel. I mean, for those of you that don't know force feedback wheels, basically everything is communicated through the steering wheel in terms of the grip from the front of from the tyres, the mass of the vehicle, vibrations and things. A lot of information and details are presented through the steering wheel, as opposed to being through your body. So having that solid sim rig magnifies that and just makes it feel really nice. But also, if you've got good solid pedals, you see on that sim rig as well, you're putting a lot of pressure on those pedals, a lot of weight on them, and again, the having the solid sim rig means that nothing is moving around, and it makes you feel like you're actually in something substantial, and it really makes it connect together. It just makes it a lot easier to get in with it, and it's a really nice sim rig that's up for the top prize there. And then obviously you've got the VR headset, the Vive Pro, I believe. I hope I haven't got that wrong. I think it's the Vive Pro. Yeah, absolutely awesome VR kit, like really high resolution, which means that you get a very good clear picture from it. So unlike the 90s, when you say VR, a lot of people are thinking, back in the day I used a virtuality headset in an arcade, and you're like, I could see 3 pixels, and then I passed out from motion sickness and heat exhaustion. The reality is now, I mean, it is still warmer than using a screen. It's not perfect, but the quality difference, it genuinely does feel like you're sat in a car, and it is the best way to be inside the car. And with the headset that they stand to win for the top prize of this is one of the top VR headsets on the market. So, and they've also got the screen there and everything. So it's just an absolutely pretty bonkers prize, to be honest. I think the total prize pool was 10